You found the coolest place to be, the PlayStation Collecting Center. Come on, won't you stay with me? Welcome to the show. Gather round the boys and girls, collectors from around the world. Let's show the people what they need to know. Welcome to the show. Gonna talk to guests, only got the best. Gonna put their knowledge to the test. Gonna laugh at needs, gonna live the dream. Gonna show you things you've never seen. Gonna sing the song to the break of dawn. Gonna rock this party all night long. So come on everybody, let me see you dance. Get yourself ready for one more chance. You found the coolest place to be, the PlayStation Collecting Center. Come on, won't you stay with me? Welcome to the show. Gather round the boys and girls, collectors from around the world. Let's show the people what they need to know. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hey. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name's Joe Rad. It's the PlayStation Collectors Podcast. We're missing Figsy Games tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather in Australia there. So it's just going to be the two of us. But that's all right. We got a great show tonight. Tonight joining us, we have RNGGamer. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. I am extremely excited for this episode. Been watching your stuff for a little while. If anybody hasn't checked out this guy's channel, you should immediately. He has an insane collection of games. Spans, I mean, you're talking all the way from the Intellivision up into modern gaming. You got everything, man, and quite impressive and wonderful taste, I might say. Like, a lot of times I watch people's collections and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But like when you were showing yours, I was just like drooling over all your stuff, man. It's not only do you have like multiple collections of different systems, you have like such choice stuff. I just got to say, like, fantastic. Really.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I even collect for the first generation, so all the way back to the Pong consoles and stuff, all the way up to the PS5. But I do have a strong interest and a draw towards the more esoteric and kind of off the beaten path sort of games.
Yeah, which I can relate to that. Like if you're into the hobby for a long time, it's like you end up just exploring like more like the hidden corners of the libraries of systems and the wackier things that, you know, you never really realized came out. And like once you get deep into collecting, it's like, I think we talked about this when Mort was on too, like you almost start to get beyond just games. Like you start looking at peripherals and weird consoles and like stuff that came out in Japan that we never got over here and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of that. I collect like the MSX computer and the Nuon and all kinds of weird stuff. But yeah, it's you get more and more and more hardcore about it over the years as you start hunting and you develop a taste for that sort of thing, I guess.
Well, I appreciate it. And I was, watching your game room tour and it was funny. You got your like a little television section. You're like, nobody cares about this stuff, but here it is. And I'm like, I care. I love Atari. I love a television. I like Vectrex. I like all that old stuff. So
you mentioned the Vectrex. You know, I have a complete Vectrex set, right?
I did see that, and it is gorgeous. Not only do you have the complete set, you actually have the 3D setup, like the headset, the accessories, right? For it
I
too.
do. I have the 3D headset and all of the wheels you need to make the 3D work on the games, and I have the light pen that lets you draw on the monitor.
Does it feel like you're living in 2007 when you wear that thing?
It does. Yeah, it's like in the wave of the future, right?
The past. I don't know. That's cool though. There's just something charming about the old wireframe games. So they're very cool.
I love that vector look. There's nothing quite like it. And a Vectrex like console humming in the dark when you turn it on is really, really a nice sound. Like you're tethered to it. You're sitting right up with your face in front of it like you're supposed to. You can feel the radiation hitting your eyes. It's everything you've ever wanted.
You feel the radiation, exactly. You feel your grandmother telling you, don't sit so close to that thing.
I know, right?
Burn your eyes out.
Like exactly.
Well, yeah, I have an appreciation for that stuff. I feel like there's like definitely like an age cutoff for people who can go back and enjoy Atari and stuff like that. And like
That's true. Although I do see some younger people. I've had people approach me that are, 10 or 11, 12 years old, and they like that old stuff. They enjoy it.
Mhm.
I think it's more of a novelty to them rather than a nostalgia trip, of course, but games are fun no matter when they came out, right? People are used to playing these free mobile games that are like Flappy Bird. You're just tapping a button. Well, the Atari is just that all the time, right?
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
there's still fun to be had there if you can get over the stigma of playing like just an old game that doesn't look great.
Yeah, and it's so I actually still think that the Atari is a great system for like very young kids because for a very young kid, they don't need some obviously deep, complicated experience. They and like I felt like I was lucky that I got to start off like learning games when games had one button and a joystick, and that's where I got to start, like nice and simple, like, and then I got to move on to the 2 button systems, and then the 4 button, and I got to like naturally progress as games got more complicated. So I think that's a nice place
There's
to start little kids too. Same thing, like here
there's
you go,
there's
here's a button.
definitely a lot to say for that. The problem is though the games are so flipping hard. Right?
That's true.
Like Atari games are really tough. So,
Mm,
but my little girl, my oldest girl, when she was like 3 and 4, started wanting to play games, and she got into some weird stuff. She played some original Super Mario Brothers. She really liked
mm,
Kaboom on the 2600, which is a
no,
paddle
awesome.
controller game, and she was really into playing R-Type. Like I had
Wow.
I do have a MAME arcade machine, but she
Wait,
loved
where is it? Right there. That's my art type poster,
yeah,
right? Big fan.
cool. So kids have interesting taste. Of course, now that she hangs out with her friends, she just wants to play Minecraft all the time. So
Mm.
as much as we try, it's hard to steer them away from what their friends want them to do.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing nowadays. It's everybody kind of plays the same game. And I mean there was some sort of that going on when I was younger with like Call of Duty and people would be moving on to certain fighting games and stuff like that, but not like now where it's just never ends. Like back then, you know.
Yeah. Everybody's just playing Minecraft and Fortnite and Roblox. That's
Mhm.
pretty much it. Because 'cause they're free. You can play them on any device, right? The mom just hands the kid a tablet, the kid downloads what he's or she has heard her friends talk about, and they get into it. So they wanna do what their friends are doing, and all their friends are doing the same thing. And you get a constant feed of people on YouTube telling you how cool it is. So my daughter, when she plays Minecraft, she just treats it like Legos. So she just wants to
Mhm.
like build. I don't think she's ever beaten Minecraft. We've tried together, but she's just like, let's make a garden. So we make a
Doesn't want
garden.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean my girlfriend we joke about it all the time. Like we both like cozy games, but like
Mm.
I kind of like can't play ones that have no combat at all. Like when it's just farming or just growing crops or just I'm like I just can't. I need to have to like I have to bop something on the head with the hammer or something. I can't just like it has to have some sort of action combat. And she's the complete opposite. She's like, nope. Like she watched me play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and she's like, "This game's so cute and it's so pretty, and I love it, but I just don't want to fight anything. So if I
I
could play
get
it
it.
with no combat, I would love it." She's just like, "I just want to collect all those pretty birds you're riding."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
yeah,
I get it.
hmm
I get it. My wife's the same way. She likes games that are more thought provoking. So she likes things like Slay the Spire and
good
stuff she
game."
has to put a little thought into. She doesn't like things that require a lot of coordination. So it's sometimes hard for us to find games to play together. We played It Takes Two, and
Yeah,
she
it's a
did
good
not
one.
have a good time with
No,
that.
okay.
She did not. It was she doesn't like 3D platformers. You forget how many buttons are on a modern controller. It's like 14. So
hmm
the idea of like sprinting down a hill and like double jumping and then like grabbing on with your hook shot to something and swinging and then jumping off that onto another platform. I mean, we're like, okay, that's simple. You just hold like the right trigger and then you press X twice and then you press the right R1. Like, what else would the grappling hook be, right? Of course it's R1. She would
hmm
just hit every button on the controller. She would like flipping uh the button on the PlayStation 4 controller that like takes screenshots. She would like hit that and like
hmm
hit the touchpad, things like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, and then you run into a problem with those games too, where like if there's a skill gap, like you're probably pretty good at games, I'm assuming. So, like I said, you have a series of videos about hard bosses, so I'm assuming you enjoy hard games. So
Yeah, I feel like I'm not great, but I'm
Mhm.
probably decent enough.
Yeah, that's
I've made it on the
exactly where I am.
leaderboards worldwide of a few different games, and I've won
Mhm.
credit cleared a lot of shoot 'em ups, and
Yep.
there are gaps in my ability. I'm not a great fighting game player, but
Mhm.
I would certainly like waste someone that was not used to playing fighting games at all. If all you do is play fighting games, I don't have a chance. But
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
just
so
think
when
like
people
the
always
average
say like
Fortnite player, they're going down real hard.
yeah, when people say like, "Are you good?" I'm like, compared to like when I play shmups, I'm like, compared to people who don't play these games, I'm very good.
Yeah,
Compared to people who are like really good at these games, I'm not good at all.
yeah, yeah,
But I can hang and I can enjoy them, and that's not the point. It doesn't really matter in my opinion that whether or not you can like beat everything. It's just like if you enjoy hard games, you just enjoy them. Like it doesn't even winnings. So you should like if you enjoy hard games, you know that it's not even about winning sometimes. It's about just the challenge and overcoming it and like persevering in the discipline of it.
Mhm.
Not giving up. And then eventually dedication, you should win. Not always. There are some things that they're just too hard. And if it is, so one thing I wanted to bring up, I saw on your channel is you like shoot 'em ups, you like shmups a lot.
Mhm.
And I love shmups, and there are some that are just laughably difficult, I call them, where I'm like, I'm not even, nah, I'm not even
Oh, yeah,
gonna try.
for
Like, it's just
sure. A lot
the
of the
amount of effort.
cave shoot 'em ups are like
Mhm.
that, borderline impossible, right?
Correct. And then
Um,
what usually happens with those games too is I don't know about you, but like you play them. For me, it takes me like 100 attempts, 200 attempts sometimes, depending on the game. And then like you'll have a run where you don't even realize how good you're doing. Like you're just like spacing out, thinking about other stuff, and then all of a sudden you realize you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like 1cc and I'm on the last level. Oh geez. And then all of a sudden the
you
heart
panic.
palpitation. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, man.
yeah.
It's just like as soon as you realize how close it is, like that's it's I can't tell you how many shmups like I've cleared to the last boss for the 1cc and got the last boss to like 10% health and not sealed the deal. Like I have like at least half a dozen games like that I'm so close to the 1cc, but I just
Yeah,
the adrenaline overwhelms
me
me.
that happens to me quite often too. The Mushihime Sama Futari, I had like a log, a journal where I tracked my progress on like every phase of every boss. And dude, I knew going into the last stage
Mm,
that I had to have 4 lives and at least 3 bombs on the current life I was on to have
mm-hmm,
like a 10% chance.
mm-hmm,
And, I was like, "I'll bomb here, I'll bomb here, I'll bomb here," and then my goal was to get to the last boss, survive, like, the first wave, bomb, and then just bomb it out. Just die and bomb it out,
mm-hmm,
and when I finally got to where I had, like, 5 lives and 4 bombs, I was up alive, and I just panicked. I
mm,
panicked all the way through the 5th stage, and when I got to her, I was well below what I needed to succeed, and I managed to just pull it out. I probably had, like, a 5% chance, but I went back after that and tried to 1cc it again, and
mm.
I never was able to get back to the last boss. It was like a one-time deal.
Oh, I bet that's one of the biggest problems with those games is it's like not only is the last boss insane, but like just getting to him to be able to practice is insane.
Yeah.
It's like the last most shmups like let's say they're 5 or 6 levels. The first 4 levels are just a warm up.
Mhm.
They're just literally like they're just a warm up, and then you get to that last level, and that's when the game really starts. I feel like all the bullet speed goes, and the patterns get crazier, and the designer starts throwing some evil thing in at the end that it's just. And
Yeah.
so then you finally get there, and then what's really cute is the ones where you finally do it and you beat the boss, and they're like, "But wait."
Yeah, true
the
last boss. There you
true
go.
boss. And you're like, come on. And it's even more, it's like the most absurd thing you've ever seen in your life. And
And
you're
yeah,
like, what?
this
How am
part
I
of that
supposed to
too
practice this?
is usually getting to the true last boss involves doing the 1cc, and since this is your
Yeah.
first time ever doing it, you've had no practice with this boss.
Yeah.
No
It's
practice.
it's definitely a type of game design that is just an old arcade feel to it. They just don't really do that anymore, I guess. I
They
don't know.
don't. Well, there
Yeah.
are a lot of, like, new shoot 'em ups coming out that are pretty good, that were never arcade games, and
Mm-hmm.
I do like that they've sort of worked that out, that it's not
Mm-hmm.
about, like, feeding quarters into the system. The goal isn't to get your money. The goal is to, like, actually let you have a good time now. So games like
Mm-hmm.
Zero Ranger, things
Mm.
like that are really good. Crimson Clover, they're like
That's
arcade games, but they're not designed to be too brutal. Just
Crimson Clover is like one of my favorite games, like, of all
yeah.
time. Absolutely love it. Didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But yeah, I would say that's true. Like, so cave games they're for like the purists, I'd say. Like, they don't give you like a lot of, not like, well, I guess the new ones, the new Dodonpachi games does, but you don't get like a lot of hypers usually and bullet clears and stuff. You just get some bombs, a one up, a couple
Yeah.
extras, and that's about it. But like you said, there's like the newer games that are like, they're trying to figure out ways to get more people into the genre, and they're like giving you like more bullet clears and shields and bullet absorbs and reflects and little gimmicky things to try to like make it a little easier.
Yeah.
To
I mean,
play.
every shoot 'em up has to kinda, like, have some sort of gimmick. And
Mhm.
Cave does rely a lot on, like, bullet canceling. Like, if you kill the big enemy on the screen, it, like, turns all the bullets into, like, a score multiplier, and a
Mhm.
lot of it's about stringing those together, and I think that's what people like about them. But if you don't have that concept in your head, then you're never gonna be able to succeed. That's what makes those games so hard for, like, the casual audience, because they just see this wall of bullets, and they're like, "I'll never be able to dodge that." I'm like, "Dude, you don't have to dodge it, man. You just gotta get in there and, like, kill the
Mhm.
giant slug that's over on the side of the screen, and it will cancel all
Exactly.
those bullets," right? So, I think that that's a deterrent a lot of the time for people that aren't really versed in what it's like to play an arcade game or a shoot 'em up, especially not like a cave game or a rising game or something like that. But I am glad to see that the genre is making a comeback and that there
Mhm.
are some like indie developers out there putting out really good stuff. They grew up playing the kind of games that we like. So
Mhm.
I think
Yeah, there's
that's
some more cool ones.
yeah.
I liked some of the newer ones. I liked Crisis Wing. I don't know if you tried that one. That one's
I
kind
have
of like
Crisis Wing. It's sitting right over here on the shelf. I have not cracked it open or given it a shot yet. It hasn't gotten picked for me to play.
it's oh yeah, well, we can go into that in a minute. Yeah, but that one's like, it's like a Genesis kind of themed one, I would say. I feel
Like Truxton style.
yeah, kind of like a Truxton style one, and it's not necessarily like a huge like bullet hell one. It's one of those ones where you just like memorize, kind of like almost like like an Atari feel, like a Galaga one, where you just want to memorize all the patterns.
Mhm.
So it's got an interesting mechanic where if you kill like full waves of enemies, these little gems pop out.
Uh-huh.
And if you get the gems, they give you bonus points and score multipliers. And like, so it's like its own little mini game. But if you miss uh, a gem, like it resets back to like 1 point. And so like it goes all the way. Like you get the first one, it's at 100. You get the second one, it's 500. Then it's 1,000. Then it's like, as long as you keep getting the gems and you keep the chain going, you score higher and higher and higher. So it's like its own little mini game. And what's cool about it, which I thought is neat, is if you clear like all the enemies throughout the stave, they have like secret waves where extra enemies will come out and you get like more points and you can get like extra lives and stuff. It's neat.
That's cool.
It's
Yeah.
got a cool design to it. The 1cc is like it's hard because it's like the levels are just long, like very long. It's a marathon. It ain't a sprint. It's one of those games where you just have to sustain for so long. And sometimes it's just hard to focus that long and not mess
Yeah, I
up at
bet.
all. So
I mean, I don't bet. I know I've done that. I've played games where it's like, this is a 70-minute long shoot 'em up. It's
mhm.
14 stages. That's 28 bosses, man. That's hard to keep up with. That's hard to like maintain for a long time. It's a
Mhm.
real battle of attrition between you and the game. And I don't always like that. I like 30-minute long shoot 'em ups. But I buy
I
pretty much
agree.
every one of them that comes out, so I'll give it a fair shot. I'll give it a shot.
So I'm with you. Like I just literally I buy all of them
Mhm.
just because I love the genre and I support it and I want more people to make them. And the best way to have that happen is to support them and buy them and promote them and try to get other people into them. Um, but I do believe, like you said, there is like kind of like a little bit of a renaissance for it, a resurgence for it.
Mhm.
The PS3 like gave no love to the genre at all. The Xbox 360 did a great job, and then it's like PS4 flipped and it like flipped. Like the Xbox got nothing, and the PS4 got a million amazing shmups. So,
Yep.
and the Switch did well as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like there's an appreciation for the genre, like, and I do think there are people like getting into it now. Um, and I think it helps too because, like I've gone over this before. Like growing up, like I never realized like you could go for a 1cc in those games. Like, I know it sounds silly, but, like, that thought never even crossed my mind when I played those
It
games
didn't either
in
to
an
me.
arcade. I was
The
like, "Well,
top
these games are literally just designed to be impossible and to
Yeah.
steal your quarters, and, you know, they're fun, but they're not like, that's it. Like, you wanna beat it, you spend $5, you continue a few
Exactly,
times.
right. Yeah, you
That's
pay
how you do it."
$5 to experience the game.
Yeah. And then that's just all so I liked them and I always thought they were fun. I always enjoyed shmups and stuff, but like I never really understood it. And then as I got older and I started seeing 1ccs and stuff, and it was just blown away. Like I started viewing it differently and got really into it. And I think that there's a lot of people that kind of are getting like going through a similar thing where
Mhm.
they're being like, why do people like these games so much? And they're like kind of understanding finally, like, oh wow, this is actually pretty sick. Wow, that's amazing. Like it's beautiful when you watch someone, you know, like a god tier player like Jamers or somebody play
Yeah.
those games. Like it really is like beautiful. It's like watching ballet as far as I'm concerned. It
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
amazing. Um
But those
just
people are cut from a different cloth. Like, Jamers has, like, 9 of the hardest shmups in the world just under his belt at any point that he can 1cc. Like, if you asked me to go in and 1cc a game that I 1cc'd, like, 2 months ago, there's no way. Like, it's just there's
mm.
no chance.
No, it has to be fresh. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I try to say that too. It's like a shmup is like when I play a shmup, like that means like I've been playing it a couple hours a day for like a week or two,
Yeah.
trying to get the 1cc, and it's like you have to keep that really fresh, like all those paths you take, all the little things, and
Mhm.
if you stop playing for a while, you got to relearn all of it. You just don't remember it. You're like, oh
Yeah.
gosh. And then you
Yeah.
have to die a few times to be like, oh, right, I cannot be here when this happens. Like, there's so
Mhm.
many things where you just have to figure it out the wrong way. You're like, okay, well, I can't be here. Well, I definitely can't be here. So what do I have to? All right, like you said, I got to kill this guy and I got to hide like up here, just stay at the
Right.
top of the screen. That's another thing. Like that was like a huge revelation for me in shmups is like learning that like being at the bottom of the screen's not always the best idea.
It's
That
not
was like a
always the
hard.
best idea, man. That's the convergence of where all the bullets are, right?
Yeah, well, when you start, you're like, well, I want to be as far away from these things as possible, so I have as much time to dodge, and
Yep.
that's not true. Like sometimes the best thing to do is you get right up in that freaking face and you just shoot them in the mouth, and you blow, and you go to the top of the screen and you just fly around the top, and you go around all of it and stuff like that. Like
Exactly.
learning all those things, like makes the game so intense and so
Yeah,
fun.
you don't need to dodge bullets if they're so dead they can't shoot any of them.
Mm, that's the best. So, um, what do you think is the best shmup system? You a 360 man? Because I saw you have quite the 360 collection. So
Yeah, I have a huge 360 collection. Uh, it's tough to say. It's a toss-up between the 360 and the PS4, I would say.
mhm.
But I would probably
That cave
oh, man.
collection on the 360, like single handedly, almost makes it better to me. The thing's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
I think I think I would have to give it to the 360. Although they are releasing a lot of those games back onto the PS4. So it's pretty close. I think right now the 360 just edges it out a little bit, but maybe not for long.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see how many yellow lights, rings of death or red rings of death. Take out all
You
those
know, I've
systems.
never had
Then.
one. I still have
That's
my original
amazing.
360.
That's like I'm terrified to collect for the 360 because I remember my friends, like all of them, having issues. They all had to replace their 360s.
Yeah, I have like about 12 360s, and none of them have ever broken. Well, I've never had an issue with any of them.
That's sick. Do you collect like different models, like special editions?
No, 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 no. These are just stockpiled from like crap I find, and I'll get one console, and then I'm like, well, I need a backup to that console, and then I'll get a backup to it, and then I was like, well, I should get a third just to back that up, and then what ends
Mhm.
up happening is I go to like a yard sale or something, and I pick up a big lot from someone and cherry pick out the games, and I'll trade the games I don't need, but I don't want to like mess with the consoles. I don't want to try to trade those. I don't want to clean them. I don't really necessarily want to test them or pack them up or ship them. Sure as hell
Mhm.
don't want to ship them. It's crazy.
Mhm.
So I just stuff them in the closet and never look at them again.
That
I
works.
have like I have a stack of Wii's back there so tall that probably I could like use it as like a dinner tray. And then right next to it, I have 4 in-box Xbox 360s.
Nice, dude. So what you need to do is you need to like make an art piece out of the Wii's. Like make like you need to make like a Wii game shelf out of Wii's that will hold your Wii collection.
I
You know what I
know,
mean?
right?
Like glue them
Here's the
all.
thing, though. There's a flaw in that. As cool as it would be, the Xbox 360 is blowing up right now. The prices of the games are getting
Sure is.
crazy. The Wii and the PS3 are soon to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these kids now that were born in like 2006,
Mm-hmm.
when those systems came out, in a couple of years, they're going to be graduating from college and getting jobs. And they're going to buy the stuff that they had when they were kids,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Wii and the PS3 and the Xbox 360. It's already happening now. And they're going to find out that like 80% of all the Wii's are beat to hell. They're just beat up. There's just
Mm-hmm.
too many people that just destroyed them. So they're going to be looking for like good quality Wii's. So I'm going to hold on to them. People always talk about like, oh, it's worthless. Have you ever been to Super Potato in Tokyo?
Mm-mm.
A huge game store there. On the 3rd floor, they have a throne of old Famicom cartridges that were just so worthless, no one wanted to buy them. So they glued them together with super glue and made a throne you can sit in. And it has
Mm.
like little Samsons in it and like all
Oh,
kinds of stuff. And even little Samson and like on the Famicoms worth several $100.
sure.
But like they're like, it's never going to be worth anything. It's all going to be worth something. If it
Oh, it is.
means something to somebody, it'll be
Mhm.
worth something one day.
I've been saying that too, that like the value on stuff is just gonna go crazy and like nothing like so like PSP is gonna go crazy. Like all of it is.
Yeah.
As stuff goes on, it's gonna be once nobody knows how good they have it until it's gone. So you don't know what you got till it's gone. It's like that's basically what's gonna happen to the world. Is so they're gonna shut off physical media, and that's when everybody's suddenly gonna care.
Right.
It's gonna be, and it's gonna go crazy overnight values and stuff because people will desperately want it, and all the nerds like us will have hoarded it all and just be like, and you'll have nothing. You should have listened.
Exactly, right. We'll be the one standing on our porch yelling at the kids on the other side of the fence.
So my
You were
goal,
wrong. I was right.
I'm
We
actually
have a
gonna.
question here, though. Someone asked, were either of
Mhm.
you able to beat Gradius or Contra using the Konami code? Yeah, I beat it with the Konami code. I can beat both of them without the Konami code, though, too. So,
So when I was a kid, I could beat Contra. With the code I did, but I never could be. I didn't ever use it to play Gradius, and I've never beaten Gradius. No,
really, it's not
absolutely
that
not. No,
bad. It's pretty easy
no.
on the NES.
If it's literally the inventor of the saying Gradius syndrome,
I
so
know you can't get hit one time.
correct. So if it's like, well, R type's similar. That's the same way I used to play R type. Like I would just
Yeah.
start the game over if I died.
Yep.
Like if I lost my power ups, I'm like, just replay the whole game.
What I'll do is with those games is I'll find a couple of spots along the way, maybe in like stage 3 and then one in stage 5, and I'll learn and I'll practice how to recover from that point.
Mhm.
So you don't have to do it all in one go. You just have to like do it in thirds. And the games with checkpoint systems like Gradius and
Mm,
R-Type will often they won't make it easy on you to recover, not by a long
no.
shot, but they will work in a way where it's a possibility. If you practice it enough, you can recover at those spots. But that's a lot of work, you have to have like a modern version of it where it lets you start at the beginning of a level or like a rewind feature or like use a save state or something in an emulator. I've been known to do that. I don't really use emulators, but I'll use them to practice a shmup, and then I'll go back and play it on the real system after I've practiced it, because I don't want to spend 45 minutes playing through a freaking game to have like a 15-second chance to learn a pattern on a mini boss. Like blows me away, and then have to do it all again.
No, I'm 100% a full in support of using emulators to practice shmups, because, like I was saying earlier, like especially like true last bosses and stuff like that. It's like, it might be like 1 out of 50 attempts to even see the guy, and
Right.
then like and then you're sweating, your heart's beating out of your chest because you never see him, and you're so worried anyway, and it's like you can't even really focus. And as well as I do that, it's like I call it like sight reading. It's like music, same thing. It's like you can't sight read just in the most amazing piece of music and play it perfectly unless you're a god. You have to practice it a few times. Even if you can play it and you're amazing, just doing it on the fly and just be like, oh sure. That's inhuman. It's like
I'm a really good sight reader, and
good.
I love to sight read, and I've sight read entire set lists before. I'm going to be sight reading one this next coming week. But
that's an amazing skill, man.
Did you know that there are competitions where musicians get together and gamble on sight reading? Where like a guy
I've seen old jazz guys.
You bring him a piece of music on the piano, and if he can't sight read it, like he'll give you $100, and if he can, you owe him $100. And people will bring in crazy stuff, and they'll just like nail it. They're really, really, really good. When Steve Vai played for Frank Zappa would tell people in the audience to bring him a piece of music, and if he couldn't play it, then he wouldn't get paid for the night. And people would go out of their way to like bring him crazy pieces of music, and he never failed. He never failed.
That's sick,
I streamed on Instagram like a set list I played at a country club on guitar, and I played for like 2.5 or 3 hours, and about a third of that was music I'd never played or seen before, and I just sight read it. And I was reading off piano notation too. They gave me like a piano book, a Reader's Digest classic jazz piano book.
That's amazing, man. Like I can that's not the musician I am. I'm one of those that has to be prepared and practice. I'm not like a jam guy at all. I'm like, no. I gotta write my parts. I can't do that. Like I can't just be like, oh, we're playing in C sharp. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's just not me, man. Like, but I'm not classically trained at all or anything like that. Like I said, like I learned music theory in high school, learned the circle of fifths or whatever, but that's about it. Like I never really
you learned all the basic modes. You learned about the Aeolian mode and the Dorian and the Phrygian and the Lydian and all that. Yeah, that's I could read sheet music before I could read words. Like I knew how to read sheet music before I could spell cat. So it's so ingrained into me that I never have known anything else. I still teach guitar like a day a week just because I don't want to abandon my students that are trying to like audition for music scholarship soon. But
they like literally need help.
Yeah, I mean, right. So I don't want to abandon them. They've been taken from me for like better part of a decade. So they're like, when did you learn to play like an F bar chord? I was like, I don't even remember doing it. Like I have no recollection of playing or learning to play a bar chord. I've just been able to do it since I was 7. It's been like that. So it really is a part of me, but so is gaming. I started playing video games 3 months after I started playing guitar. We're talking like 42 years almost. That's people used to not live this long. I've spent like half my life playing things, video games and music. It's awesome. I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's just strange to think about it.
It is strange to think about it. And like I said, like I don't know. I feel like I didn't appreciate it growing up, that how lucky I feel like I am now to have grown up when I did, as far as like what media and entertainment I got to experience. Like, oh man, so lucky. And I got like all the benefits of the internet without any of the issues of growing up with it, which I think was a huge thing too. Like I gotta be honest, like I like the fact that I'd be like, all right, parents, I'm going to Tony's. So yeah. Like they would have to believe me.
Yeah.
Nowadays kids are they're like, okay, well, let me just put the GPS tracker in your head and you're gonna check in. I'm gonna pull up the camera and watch you and make sure you're not listening to you while you're there. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So But yeah, as far as video games go, like, what was like your first system? Was it Atari? Was it in television, or where'd you
No,
start
no, no,
off?
no. My first system was the NES. I was
Okay.
at my cousin's house. They lived way, 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 way out in the country. When I say way out in the country, I'm from Alabama, so country is like we're talking out in the country. 50-minute drives to the nearest gas station, kind of out in the country. But they had a
Gotcha.
flipping NES. I'd never seen a video game in my life, and I was like, "What is happening on the TV?"
Mm.
I saw he was like playing this thing. He had something in his hand. He was pressing buttons, and the things he was doing was corresponding to what I was saying. I was like, "Can I try?" And he's like, "No." He would not let me try. And he told me the name of it was a Nintendo. And I
Mm.
remembered that, and I told it to my parents. And my mom and my dad, and they never bought me crap. Hey, Bill Bones. They never bought me anything. They did buy me an NES for Christmas in 1987.
Sick.
And I loved it. It was like the Mario Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet set,
Oh,
and it was the
did you
first
have
time I ever stayed
the
up all
pad?
night.
Did you have the
I
track and
did have
field
the
pad?
power pad.
Oh,
I
hell
sure
yeah,
did, but
dude.
I was all into Mario. I mean, we played some Duck Hunt, but it was all about
Mhm.
Mario. My family had a rule that, you could open one present on Christmas Eve instead of
We did the
Christmas
same
morning,
thing. Yeah, we did the same thing.
and the present I picked out was just a small box. I thought it was a book. I like to read, and I opened
Mhm.
it up, and it was a Nintendo game. It was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And so the cat was out of the bag then, right?
Mhm.
I knew that they had bought me an NES because I opened up an NES game, and,
Mhm.
they let me go ahead and open the NES, and I stayed up all flipping night, all
I
flipping
bet.
night. I also learned something about Santa Claus that night, 'cause I was watching the whole time.
That's cute.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I loved it, and I've never stopped gaming since. There were some times where I, like, got away from consoles, and I just played PC stuff, especially when I got, like, addicted to World of Warcraft like everybody else.
Dude, we're
But
like the same person. This is so weird. I did the same thing.
I've never gone more than, like, a month of my life without playing a video game. So,
Mhm. Yeah, there was a point in my life where I thought that I was going to, like, stop gaming as a hobby. Like, that did happen. Like, I remember, like, it was the cusp, like, after the Genesis and after the Super Nintendo, and, like, I just thought I was gonna, like, grow out of it, and I wasn't gonna be into it anymore, and that games were for kids. They were very kiddie, and, that's when PlayStation 1 came out, and they were like, "No, bro. We're gonna give you edgy teen content that you've been waiting for. We're giving you Twisted Metal and Resident Evil and Legacy Kane and all these games," and I was like, "This isn't for kids."
they planned it perfectly.
Mhm.
Like,
And
games grew up with us.
it
So,
pulled me right back in, man. I was,
they
like,
people talk
sucked
about
so back in.
they talk about Harry Potter. Now, Harry Potter was a little bit after my time. Like, Harry Potter
Mhm.
got big when I was in college, but
Oh,
these
shit,
kids
dude.
that were, like, 8 when the first Harry Potter came out, when
I
the
think we
next book
screwed up.
came out, they were the same age as Harry Potter. They grew up all the people that made games, like, grew up with us. Like, games for
Mm.
edgy teens came out when we were teens, and then, like,
Mhm.
games for adults came when we were adults, so there's been no reason to move away from it. It's just gotten better. I still love old stuff, but I love new stuff too, and,
Mhm.
I'm glad that there's always been good content for me at the appropriate age the whole time I've been doing it.
That's true.
And
My
someone
taste
asked,
has
"Have
been
I ever
catered
tried
to.
to play music using Braille sheet just to sharpen your skills?" Yes, I have. I've taught a couple of visually impaired students that read off of Braille, and I learned to read it well enough to kinda help them, but I don't know that I could sight read off Braille right now, and it's hard to sight read Braille when you play guitar 'cause,
Yeah, you need
you
your
don't have
hands
3
to
arms.
Yeah. That is an issue. Um, so I know you said you were into music and stuff like that. Before the show, we were talking a little bit. You said that you were, like, in a band and you played some, technical death metal.
I've been in a
Is that
lot of bands, but yeah, I was in a
Mhm.
band called DeLeo. We did technical death metal stuff, like
Mhm.
gent, as they would say now.
Okay.
And yeah, it was an interesting experience. I founded it with another guy. He was the drummer from a local group called Unsung Zero,
Mhm.
and It was like one of these like heavy rhythmic bass kind of like groove but time signature changing sort of bands with
Mhm.
screamed vocals, and it was a lot of fun. And we got fairly big. Like I said, we were touring with some larger bands, but my day job prevented me from being able to do that. So
Mhm.
I essentially just sort of excused myself from the band and signed over my intellectual property rights to them so they could own the music and things like that. But it was a it was a fun and rewarding experience. But other than that, I've filled in with dozens of different bands for like short little legs of tours when their guitarist broke their arm or got a DUI or whatever.
Mhm. Yep.
And, I've done that, but
Jury
most of
duty.
my work that I've done has been session work, like in the studio and things like that. I'm the guy they bring in when the guitarist can't nail the solo, and
Mhm.
he's been working on it for 10 hours, and they're paying $300 an hour for studio time, and they're, like, gonna go broke, so they'll bring me in to, like, record it real quick, or now they don't even bring me in, I just do it on my computer and, like, email it to them. So,
Exactly. Now you just do
uh
it at home.
but yeah, that's kind of my background, and I still play gigs because I just like to play. But these days, it's like this upcoming week, I'm playing the after dinner party for a golf tournament at a fancy country club, and then I'm playing at a. They say it's a funeral, and I don't normally take funeral gigs. I don't want to play at a funeral. They
Mhm.
suckered me into it. They asked me if I could play on a specific night. I thought it was gonna be for their happy hour or for dinner or something, and then later told me it was a funeral. Uh, but it's
Is
I
it also
don't
gonna be Degent or no, I'm just
no,
kidding.
it's not. It's not gonna be
Just
Gent. I'm gonna
kidding.
be playing a lot of, like,
You're not
Duke
gonna
Ellington and Bach.
no, no, nothing like that.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. But,
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be weird. I don't know. I feel tricked for playing this one, but sometimes that happens.
It's
But
sad that
I'm
that's what
fortunate that I only have to take the gigs I wanna take. I turned down about 80% of them.
my brother, he's a piano player and he does like some local gigs. He's similar thing happened to him. He got roped into doing like a funeral recently. It's an odd request, but I don't know. But back to your point earlier about the studio musician thing, like that is like a big thing. I don't think people realize how many bands can't play their own songs, dude.
Yeah, so there's a band, if you're in the metal
So
scene,
many.
there's a band that they are fairly big. They were nominated for a Grammy.
Mm.
They're not from this area, but they were recording here with one of the producers that I used to work with a lot. And between me and the producer, that band played about 0 notes on that entire freaking album. Like, none. I played every guitar part, I played every bass part, I played keys, and I drums, like, poorly, and, I mean, everything was quantized, so you're just dragging the notes and putting them in the
Mhm.
right spot. We, like, copied and pasted their music together,
Yeah.
uh, and it was just it was a nightmare. Like, it was an absolute
Is it
disaster.
was it Lorna Shore? No, I'm just kidding.
It
It's
was
fine.
not Lorna Shore.
I'm just
It
kidding.
was not Lorna
I'm
Shore.
talking shit. I think those guys are awesome.
No, 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 no. They can play from what I hear. Lorna Shore, it's weird to me that they're, like, so popular because they just sound like the crap I listened to 20 years ago. It just sounds like Emperor. Like, it's just
Yeah.
Emperor.
Yeah.
It's just symphonic black metal, like extreme black
It's
metal,
like for
but
hipsters. It's like kids just have found out about it for the
they're
first
just
time.
finding out about it. That's fine. Let
Yeah.
them have it. I don't wanna
And
listen to
and
Lorna
and
Shore.
their image is modern. They don't
Yeah, their
have
image is
like the
modern. They're
but
but that
I'd rather listen to Emperor all day long. So,
yeah.
yeah, I love black metal, dude.
Oh, we got another question. Are you afraid bands will be a thing of the past due to AI or competition? For instance, is there a contest for drumming beats per minute? Could a human ever beat an AI? There are some drummers that are like at the maximum, I guess, physical level you could ever be at. They can play so fast that it's
Like 220
almost like a
BPM.
hum.
Yeah.
uh, I think AI is going to have a big part of music. AI has had a big part of music for a long time. They've been using algorithms to determine what parts of songs are hits, what good hooks are. They've been doing
Mhm.
that for 20 years. Uh, and so I have no doubt that that will be a huge influence, especially in pop music. But I think, like with anything, there'll be a big pushback from people wanting a more natural sound.
100%.
My daughter, she likes pop music. She listens to all that stuff, but like I'll play a song for her in the car. And the other day we were listening to we were just on like an 80s pop kick, but we were listening to the Go-Go's. We were listening to that song, We Got the Beat. And We Got the Beat is not on a straight tempo. It is they slow down and they speed up. And Belinda Carlisle, the lead singer, she sings out of tune.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, doesn't that sound good? Doesn't that sound good? It's natural.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, 100%, who's 10, was like, yeah, it sounds like a real person. And I was like, she gets it. It's a real person.
Mm-hmm.
AI is real cool. But there's nothing cooler than sitting there and watching someone actually, who's a master of their craft, like perform something.
100%.
And so I think there will be, even though AI is going to take over the world, and there's going to be a lot of that in the music we listen to, and it's going to be good. We're going to like it because it's going to be designed for us to love. It's just going to be like nonstop hooks the whole way through. You think you get a song stuck in your head now, wait till AI figures it out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still going to be that like raw sound that people want. And I think people are going to start enjoying both of it. You can go to a 5-star Michelin restaurant and eat the finest food you've ever had. You can have like truffle vapor blown in your face. Sometimes, man, you just want to eat a hot dog. So I think that people are going to enjoy both, but I do think it's going to be very prevalent in the recording industry. It already is.
I think that's extremely on point. So AI is going to take over, not in just the music industry. It's going to have a huge impact in movies, TVs, and games as well. Like you're going to see AI created content all across the board, and it's going to be like a similar argument. So this is what I'll compare it to. It's like CDs sound much, much, much better than MP3s and MP4s and stuff. They sound significantly superior, but nobody cares because they're not as convenient and easy as MP3s and putting them on an iPod. People don't want to carry around 100 CDs. That's just convenience. So people will sacrifice quality for easier consumption and easier use. So there will be a huge market for AI, but that doesn't mean that it's the best. And there will always be people that actually do care about having the best, and they'll seek out something better. But I think you also hit the nail on the head that, like, when I listen to music, when I hear a real drum kit, I am immediately like, oh, it's real drums. That's a real drum. Like, it sounds so much better to me than like a purely digitized kit where, like you said, everything's been perfectly notated and everything. There's no flamming. There's no mistakes. It's not like I like listening to the old Amon Amarth albums and the old Emperor albums and the old where the drumming's, like you said, it's not perfect. It's not 100% right. It's a little messy, but it's real to me. It's human. I can feel it in a way that digital music doesn't do the same thing. And I'll compare it to this too. It's like when you watch a movie and you see computer or CGI or whatever, like your mind can tell that's not real.
Yeah.
Like you see that and you go, no matter how cool it looks and how good it looks, you're like, well, that's not real. And I have the same thing with music when I hear digital drums and digital stuff. I'm like, oh, that sounds really good, but that's not real.
I mean, it's true. Like when you go back and you watch practical effects and they just feel so much better. That's what it's going to be 100%. Like with music, right? You mentioned Amon Amarth. Once Sent from the Golden Hall is one of my favorite songs of theirs. And that album's so great, but they slow down like 20 beats per minute during that song. The drummer played that in one take, and he got so tired from the double kick that he literally couldn't keep it up. Mm-hmm. And they just recorded to that. And it's about Vikings marching, man. They're going to get tired. It makes it more real, right? And then if you're like locked in at 120 BPM all the way through and you're listening to a metronome in your ears while you're recording. So I think that there's going to be like a big push for authenticity.
Yep. Agreed. And you'll see that in games too. So there'll be like a million AI generated platformers and stuff like that, but they won't be Celeste.
They're not
going to be Celeste. I mean? They're not going to be Celeste, where it's like unbelievably well crafted levels and unbelievably well written stories and unbelievably deep themes that are human, that like AI will never ever be able to convey. And Also, AI, all it can do is it can amalgamate information and make a copy of it, like a sophisticated copy. It's never going to create a new thing. There will not be a new music genre or a new vibe of playing guitar, a new way of, it's just, they won't think of it.
Maybe
Or
there will be. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think that AI has like infinite possibilities. So eventually, if you throw enough crap at the wall, some of it's going to stick. Eventually, AI will create something that has never been done before that people like. And I don't know that I want to be there for that. I don't know that I want that to be a thing,
Mhm.
but I think it will happen. There's always, whenever there's a new technological advancement, whenever
Mhm.
humanity discovers something new, the generation that discovers it never knows what the hell to do with it. They
That's
never
fair.
know what to do with it. They do stupid crap with it. When they created like the sound, like recording, the ability to record music and sound, they didn't record music. They just recorded like people talking,
Cats and
doing
stuff.
poems. Like it never occurred to them to do it. It waited until the next generation. When they
Mm.
recorded or developed the ability to make film, first thing that pops into their mind, let's just like record animals. Like, why would
Mhm.
try to make a story out of it? You needed the next generation to come on and be like, we can use this as a narrative. My favorite one is when they created anesthesia. Oh my God, we have a chemical now that can put people to sleep. No one had the idea of like, hey, we can use this for surgery. Instead, they're like, let's all go stand in a room and huff this crap and pass out and pay 50 cents to do
That would
that.
have
We'll
been me.
wake up, right?
That would have been, I would have been that guy.
So like the first generation doesn't know what to do with the technology. They have the foresight to create it, but not the ability to predict where it's going to go. And that's what's happening with AI right now. Eventually someone's going to come up with some idea for AI, like they're going to create like an antibiotic that can go into your body and target the specific illness you have based on your genetic makeup, right?
That would be sweet. Oh my
There's going
god!
to be stuff like
Give
that.
me
So
an
we can't
injection that makes me
comprehend. So I
better
have
at
no
Dark
doubt that like
Souls.
maybe computer music, AI music becomes its own genre and people really like that. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a great thing. Maybe it'll be like Star Trek and we just talk to some computer and they do everything for us, right? So who knows?
No,
I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm scared as hell.
that's exactly how I feel. It could go one of two ways. It could be amazing, or it could be just the most authoritarian, evil, scary thing that ever could possibly happen.
Yep.
But we'll see. You know, it could go Terminator. It could go lots of ways.
Yeah. We have a couple questions here. I've seen someone use AI to add vocals and sound effects to some old silent films. Isn't that interesting to you? Yeah, it is interesting. It's fascinating. I heard an AI the other day that had taken, oh God, what was that song? It was Men from Work, I Come from a Land Down Under, a classic 80s banger, and it had taken the lyrics and vocals from Metallica's One and put it on top of it, and it was perfect. It was everything I've ever wanted in a song, but it was all done with an AI. And so, yeah, I think that's really interesting that even the AI can like read the lips and put the correct diction and enunciation on things. That's interesting. I do want to see where it goes. But I'm looking forward to AI doing things like fixing movies that are missing scenes and
Mm.
old pictures that are like deteriorated that belong to families and stuff. That's what we're going to start seeing initially.
So that's one of the things that I think will be interesting as far as gaming goes with AI too, is that like eventually, like it's going to be a point where not everyone gets the same narrative experience in the games, because you'll be able to customize the type of experience you want through AI.
Yeah, that'll
So
be
like,
interesting.
so you could be like, I'd like to play a Call of Duty game, but you know what? I want it to be in Hawaii, and I also want to have a horse, and I also want to, you know, go skiing. And like you can just tell the AI like what you want to do in the game, and it's just gonna like it's gonna pull up a bunch of assets and put it in there, and you're gonna be able to have whatever experience that you want. And then like once we get to that point where AI can do that, like will there be a gaming industry?
Right. Well,
Will it even
you have to.
exist
This is one of the times you have to
if it's
rely
just
on.
a prompt?
Right, you have to rely on capitalism to save the day in this case because they'll have to gate that, right? Because if they create that experience, like why would anybody buy any other game? You get exactly what you want. So we're gonna have to place restrictions on it. We're gonna have to place restrictions on AI. Otherwise, we're gonna end up, like I said, the Star Trek. What was the thing they went in the holodeck?
Holodeck. Hell yeah.
That would be the downfall of freaking humanity,
Yeah,
dude.
no one
All
would
anybody
leave,
would
dude.
do is work long enough to have enough money to go into the holodeck, and then that's all that would ever happen. So
It's
if we
true.
want humanity to succeed, we're gonna have to put restrictions on that.
Yeah, this is something we kind of dabble on sometimes. We talk about VR gaming and stuff like that and the potentials for like harm to the gaming world, where eventually if it's such a better experience than reality, will anyone spend time in reality, or will it be like a voluntary matrix thing? We're all hooked up to pods because we want to be, because you know we live in a climate change destroyed dystopian future, but we all could go in and play games forever and live happily in there.
I
It's
know, right?
gonna be
One
weird, man.
microsecond of real reality is a trillion years in this alternate reality.
I only have so there's only one thing about that I do think will be great is I hope there's less traffic.
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
maybe if 80% of the people hook themselves up to pods and they're all just playing, whatever the newest game is, I can like go to the store and there'll be no lines and get in and out quick, that'd be all right.
You still think there'll be stores? You still think you can drive? It won't just be all delivery.
You're probably right. You're probably right. Probably won't be any stores.
This is getting too dark, man. Let's talk about something happier, not the downfall of humanity.
So no, well, let's go back to talking about shmups. Speaking of the downfall of humanity, like I was playing, you like Mushi a lot, right?
Yeah.
I love if you select Ultra at the beginning, it literally asks you. It says like, "Are you ready for pure despair?"
Yes. Yes. It is.
That's a good game. Any game that tells you that.
It's literally nightmare fuel. So, have you ever played a video game so much that you start dreaming about it?
Oh God, dude, Beat Saber has invaded my life. Yeah,
It's
man.
I played so much
Mhm.
Mushihime-sama that, no joke, I was at a friend's house and I was in his bathroom and I was looking at the wallpaper and it had like fleur-de-lis and Napoleonic bees in it, and
Mhm.
I swear I could see them cascading down the wall. And I was like, "Weave." You get like I'm finding like routes through it.
Why'd you
It
piss
was
all over my
bad.
bathroom, dude? I'm sorry. I was not.
Yeah, bad. It was bad. But yeah, it was such just an experience, like getting the 1cc on Mushihime-sama.
Oh, it must have been amazing,
It
dude.
took longer for me to get it just on normal. And normal would be like hard on any other shmup.
Mhm.
And Maniac is like a different set of rules. Like, it doesn't even work the same, right? It's
Mhm.
almost like 3 different games put into one, and I think that's one of the things that makes Mushi one of the most popular competitive shoot 'em ups even to this day. There's just so much. You only have 2 characters, but they each have 2 different kinda loadouts,
Mhm.
and it adds so much variety to that game, and also, it has a unique feature that the end of the 3rd stage, which is the halfway point of the game, is the hardest point of the entire game.
Mhm.
'Cause it requires you to be absolutely perfect with your timing, and I love how they put, like, the gatekeeping point at the middle of the game and made the first 2 stages enjoyable for everybody. Anybody should be able to beat the 1st stage of Mushi
Yeah.
and have a decent shot at the 2nd one, but the 3rd one just throws you to the wolves, and from there, it just escalates. I love that. It reminds me of, like, riding a roller coaster.
Mhm.
There's this long period of you're just going up this hill, and, like, there's this excitement and anticipation that's so palpable that, there's, like, electricity in the air, and then you feel this crest, and you plateau over the top, and then it's just insanity from then on out.
Mhm.
I think they just captured that perfectly, and that's the reason it usually comes in on number 1 on, like, Shmups Forum's top 25 games and has stayed there the last 5 or 6 times they've done it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that 3rd stage is like one of the best design stages in all shmup history. It's
Yeah.
absolutely it is so amazing. So basically what it is, if you guys never played the game, it's like the 3rd stage is a boss. Like the whole stage is like one giant alien creature, and you move through it, and you have to like take out certain sections of it. at a time. That's the right stage. I'm not wrong, right? That's the third
No,
one.
the third stage in
Okay.
Mushi Futari is the one where the centipedes are crawling up out of the ground. You're basically like in an ant hill.
Oh, I thought that
And
was the one with the giant boss. I guess I'm wrong. Is that
and
the fourth
you
stage?
have to stream to get, so there's no way to dodge the bullets. It's literally impossible. And you have to time the bullet cancels. So when you
Oh, okay. So that's
in
yes,
Mushi,
that's the ones, the big ones jumping out the sides that fill the
yep.
whole
So
screen.
yeah, so the whole screen's like cascading. And if
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
never
yeah.
played a game with bullet cancels, the way it works is there'll be a large enemy on the screen, and when you kill it, all the bullets on the screen turn into like score multipliers.
Mhm.
So what you have to do is you have to like draw these thousands of bullets towards you and then time it perfectly so you take out the enemy at
Right
the
before they
right
converge.
time, and then you zip over to the next location and you wait for the next big enemy to come out. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of fun. And there's also, it's built in that the game slows down because there's so many sprites on the screen. The processor starts chugging along,
Mhm.
feeling those like bullets close in on you, and things start slowing down. It's almost like a bullet time that's built in using the hardware rather than like a software kind of
Mhm.
technique. And it's a phenomenal experience and brutally difficult. Brutally
Oh, no, it's
difficult. There's
insane.
very little margin for error when you do it.
Yeah, so basically what happens with those is the amount of room you have to dodge is so minimal that if you're not in the right place at the start of it and you move in the wrong direction, you're no longer DPSing the target you need to, and like you'll go away from where you need to be and you'll get overwhelmed and you die. So like you said, you have to know where to be before it even starts, because you're
Right.
gonna have to like put your damage on the guy and dodge, and while you're dodging, still put your damage on him so that when you get there, it takes them out at the right time. And if you're off just a little bit, like you just like die, it's not dying, he's not dying, and you die.
Yep.
It's like it's so
Yep.
frustrating. Or you just do it at spam a bomb.
Yeah.
Try
Spam a
again.
bomb. But if you
Yeah,
spam too
yeah.
many bombs, you won't have enough to get through the last boss because you're required to have enough to, because some of her patterns are undodgeable. Just literally
Yes.
can't do it. And your hitbox in Mushihime Sama is 1 pixel. And it's
Mhm.
still almost impossible to dodge.
I always thought it had the fairest hitbox of like any shmup. Like I love the way that one works.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's just so
Um,
hard. I always tell people, if you want to have a great time and you want to look like the greatest gamer of all time and you want to play a shmup, put on Mushihime Sama Futari's arrange mode.
mm.
It's really easy to get the 1 credit clear on that, and you look like you're the best gamer of all time. So many bullets, but you like absorb the bullets as they get close to you. So
Yeah,
it
okay.
looks like you're like dodging a lot and there's all this stuff going on, but it's really about like just racking up a high score and not trying to survive. So
Which
I really like that. And if I ever go back and play Mushihime Sama Futari, I usually play the arrange mode because it's just so much fun.
Yep. That's how Crimson Clover is the same way for me.
Yep.
I love the arcade mode, but like the
Mm.
arrange mode is just so fun, dude.
Yeah.
Because it's got like that huge power up chart, and you can blast it, and it's just a lot more relaxing. It's a lot easier to get the 1cc, and sometimes it's just like you said, it's nice to be able to play a shmup and not have to have it be like a life or death experience where your heart's beating out of your chest and you're just kind of chilling and just enjoying yourself a little bit. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Well, the best part about playing shoot 'em ups is you get into this like flow state where like your
Yep.
instincts are taking over and you're just executing these series of maneuvers and attacks that you have to do. And it's really nice. It's like playing music, like you
Yep.
know the song, you're just performing.
Correct.
And
It
but
accesses
sometimes
the
you don't want to
brain
put
part
in
of your
freaking
mind.
200 hours to get that good. You just want to
Mhm.
like have it come easy to you. You just want to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. And I like shmups where you're playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? They can be equally as fun if you do it right. Sometimes they suck, but sometimes they're good. Is there a difference between regular shmups and bullet hells? So yes. So a bullet hell is a subcategory of shmup. So most people would probably agree with me that a bullet hell is where there's a lot of bullets, like a blanket of bullets coming down the screen, and they're slow. And the gameplay focuses rather on, instead of dodging large groups of bullets and worming your way around, it's like finding little niches and small little cracks in this curtain of bullets to work your way through it. So
Mhm.
Mushihime Sama is definitely a bullet hill, but something like Raiden is not a bullet hill. It's just a a standard shoot 'em up. Just fast bullets. You got to be quick with your reaction time. Most bullet holes, you don't have to have a lot of reaction time. You're just kind of like micro maneuvering through things.
Yeah, good way. That's a good way of putting it. So, like in Raiden, some of the older shmups, the enemies usually will target you with their bullets, shoot them where you are, and really fast, and you have to move out of the way. Whereas the bullet hell philosophy is more like not. I mean, they do target you to an extent. I'm not saying they don't, but it's more like we're gonna blanket the whole screen, not necessarily just shoot at you and have you dodge. We're gonna make the whole screen bullets, and you have to figure out, like you said, the pattern, the path through it. So it's not just you moving, it's you going forward and then left and doing that, and then seeing the bullets converge and seeing where they split and figuring out the way through it. And that's like, it's so good because like you said, like I love how you're not like thinking. You're not like, I'm gonna go left, I'm gonna go right, I'm gonna go right. You're just, it like accesses this instinctual part of your brain that like is like your survival mechanism or something, and you're just doing it. And like, I don't know, it's so, like it says, it puts you in this state that like I can't describe. Like my girlfriend, she laughs because she's like, you know, when I'm like really into it, she can talk to me, and I'm just like, yeah, like I am like on another planet. Like I'm so just into it. So it's like nothing else does that for me like that. It's like one of the only genres that do that.
People, it's interesting with shoot 'em ups because if you haven't spent time with them, there's a lot of nuance to it that you never think about. Like most people just think like, man, this guy's really good at dodging. Look how good his reaction time is and stuff. There are only certain things you could ever do with shooting a bullet, right? You can shoot, let's say in a shoot 'em up, the enemy can shoot a bullet in a specific pattern, like a set pattern. We're going to shoot 3 bullets out equidistant from each other. They're going to come down. They can do that. They can shoot a bullet at you where you're at. They can shoot random bullets out in some random pattern. But the one that happens all the time that people don't get is that the computer can shoot a bullet not where you're at, but where you're going to be based on the velocity you're traveling at that second in the game. So if you don't stop your motion or alter your course, you're going to collide with a bullet. And what comes down to like what makes a shoot 'em up great is how different developers will layer those ideas on top of each other. So Cave, who put out Mushihime-sama that we've been talking about, is a master of mixing those. And what they'll love to do is give you a blanket of bullets in a semi-set pattern that you weave your way through. Then while you're weaving your way through it, they'll shoot bullets at you in specific spots or directly at you.
Force you to
going to be.
Yeah.
And it's how you overcome that. So you're working within constraints of these tight bullet formations, but then you have to still improvise on top of that. So while you're in this flow state and you're executing these actions that you've practiced over and over again, you still have to think on your feet. And that's what makes those so great compared to a lot of other shoot 'em ups where maybe the developers didn't know what they were doing.
100%. Oh man, you really understand shmups. So a good shmup forces your hand. Like it's gonna put that blanket out there, and so you'll be like, okay, cool, no problem. I just stay right here. It'll go right past me. But then it will be like, no, friend, I'm gonna shoot these triple line bullets at you. That forces you out of that little safe zone. Now you have to go towards this pattern. And so now you have to think about how to go up and around and through it. And at the same time, Cave Games will be like, we knew you were going to do that too. So there's actually a second wave coming in. And it just so happens that this converges into a solid line at the same second you try to move through. It's like, oh my God. It's so like those games are so tightly tuned. It is phenomenal. Like they're the masters. I swear to God too, I saw something on Twitter that they were coming out with a new game. I don't know if it's a phone game or a mobile game.
There's a new Dodonpachi game in development. I think it's being published by Cave. I don't think they're developing it though.
Okay.
And they claim it's for the Arcadia arcade, but I'm sure it'll be released to the PS4 or something. No one's going to buy an Arcadia.
Nope.
Console. Pay $1,500 for a freaking cart that's just like a USB thumb drive. But Yeah, I don't know. Cave's like a shell of itself. They're just relying on their old products, but maybe it's better that they like went out on a high note and didn't just
Mm,
they passed the torch on to other people. I mean, the people that made Crimson Clover, that's almost exactly like a Cave game.
that's true.
And we always have these Cave games to play. It's not like you get really tired of them, you just get better at
No,
them. So there's
they
so
they're
much there's
evergreen.
infinite replayability. It's not like playing a Call of Duty campaign where you're like, I know where everything is. I want something new. Just keep
Yep.
playing the same old stuff and enjoy the new stuff and let it be a little different. How many of you guys go out right now and you listen to music and you're like, damn, you know what I really want to hear? Alexander's Ragtime Band. Man, that was the jam in 1918. I want to hear that crap again. You move on to new stuff. Everybody
Mhm.
does. But sometimes it's good to go back and revisit the hits, right? We still like to listen to Bohemian Rhapsody. Mushihime Sama Futari is like Bohemian Rhapsody. You're never going to get tired of it. It's timeless.
I completely agree with you. It's evergreen because first of all, no one's ever beat every mode with every ship, and unless you're like some sort of god, so you can always go back and try a different ship or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, like you said about like I don't know, man. You ever have any of those friends who don't actually like are stuck and they only listen to like music up until 2006? You don't have any friends like that?
I do. So like I said, I
They're
play
just
in
like,
Nashville and stuff, and my dad was a guitarist, and I grew up listening to like classic country.
mm,
And the period of country that I listened to the most was like the 80s and 90s because that was what was on the radio my dad listened to.
mhm.
And what my friends
You
at
like
school
Waylon?
listened to. Huh?
Do you like Waylon?
Yeah, I love Waylon Jennings, man. Get
Hell
some
yeah.
Waylon Jennings out there. Yeah, I like the outlaw country stuff.
That's what I
But
like.
in my opinion, country music for me ends in like 1999. There's no
Fair.
more. When I get my wife's car, she has XM radio. I'm like, let's put on Prime Country. And it's like best of the country, 1980s and 90s. I'm like, it's just George Strait, Shania Twain, and like Alan Jackson. I'm like, this is fine. I can
Yeah.
survive this.
Mm.
But if you flip over to like Y2 country, like country from the 2000s, it's unlistenable to me. So I think it's okay to be like that for some things. I don't want to
Mhm.
necessarily fill my brain up with more of something I don't really like. But yeah, I know plenty of people that are like, dude, no music came out after 2006. This is the end of it. This is what I had on my
Yeah,
iPod when I was a senior in college, and this is all that will ever be on there.
it's true. It's just like I'm just like, yeah, I like Soulfly, but just saying.
Did you
But
listen to the Nightmare Before Christmas Revisited album where they had a bunch of like new metal bands and stuff recover all the music from The Nightmare Before Christmas?
I have not heard that. No,
Oh my
I,
lord.
I heard All
Soulfly
Shall
was
Perish's Christmas album. That was freaking
Oh,
amazing.
really? No, dude, they
So
have like
good.
Marilyn Manson and like Korn and stuff on this album, and Soulfly was supposed to do one of the songs on it or whatever, and it didn't make the cut. They got Flyleaf to do What Is This instead of
Wow.
that. Anyway, I listened to the recording of that, and it was like they were right not to put that on the album. That's the last thing I heard by them.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, so there is another topic that we have to talk about before I let it slip away because I am extremely passionate. Like one of my favorite games of all time. Like I'm talking, I have 5,000 logged hours in this game. Is The Binding of Isaac.
Yeah.
5,000 hours.
I've got probably
Afterbirth
about
Plus.
3,000
Mhm.
gameplay and probably about 5,000 hours of watching streamers play it and other players, Northern Lion and Sinvicta and
Yep, Sinvicta and gosh, what's wrong with me? What's the guy with the dreads I used to always watch? Oh, God, I can't remember now. He hasn't been on for a while. That's not the point. But my point is that I have about 100 hours in Repentance. So that's
I've got
why
about 220 in Repentance.
yeah, when I saw your channel and you were talking about Binding of Isaac and how you were just so upset about how Repentance went down, I'm like, oh God, I'm so glad that you've talked about this because I felt like the same exact way. Like I've never had a game that I've loved so much, like leave such a sour taste in my mouth. After an expansion came out, I was like, dude, what is this? Like, come
They
on.
ruined Repentance. They ruined the game. In
Yeah.
case you guys don't know, Binding of Isaac is a roguelite.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the concept of like the dungeons from the original Legend of Zelda and mixes it with like random generated dungeons and random item pools, and you're trying to piece together out of this randomness a run that's good enough to help you succeed in beating the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they took all the cool items and made them weaker.
Mm-hmm.
They took everything that was like a 10 out of 10 and they made it like a 7 out of 10. And then they took everything that was like a 1 out of 10 and they made it like a 3 out of 10. So it went from this really fun experience where you build this really overpowered character to where you're like min-maxing all these banal minutia of every single thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
instead of an item just giving you like 10 damage, like a 10 damage up, it's like, oh, it gives a 2.35 damage multiplier, but it subtracts 0.08 from your speed, and then your shot speed is also decreased by the difference between your shot height and like the amount of money it's just like it's just doing like calculus.
Yep.
And yeah, the great players can like manipulate everything to win. Like Sinvicta has like 1,000 wins in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It is so fiddly. It became a game that was just like this random awesomeness is going to happen to turning into like I'm counting granules of sugar for a recipe. Like it's just too much. And the reason for that is they made the game multiplayer. Up to 4 people can play couch co-op. And so they increased the difficulty and they thinned out the usefulness of the items, because you're expected to have 4 players putting damage on the enemy, right? Well, there's a big problem with that. One, it requires so much knowledge to even get into the game. You're not going to find freaking 3 other people to sit down and play it with you. It's just not going to happen. And you can't play online.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just screwed. And
it's not a co-op game.
It's just not a co-op game. It's just not.
No.
It's too hard to do that. And like when you beat a boss, it'll drop 4 items, right? 1 item for every person. Well, sometimes it'll drop a terrible item that like there are items in the game that will ruin your run. It'll drop a terrible item that no one can pick up. And the items are not presented simultaneously. They're one after another. So it's like, here's item 1. Who's going to take it?
Oh, really?
Right.
They don't all drop at the same time?
No. Joe will take item 1, and then item
dear
2 is like an
Lord.
item that's going to ruin the game for everybody.
So you're forced to
can't
take
it,
like
so then there is no item 3
the
and 4
little
for the
the
other 2.
decapitation head thing that everybody hates, and all the items that people despise.
It's such a miserable thing. So I've discovered the best way to play it is to hook up 4 freaking controllers and play 4-player co-op by yourself and take all of the items on one character, and it feels like it used to be.
Okay.
But you're like that's like cheating, right? I did a video about it. And I was like getting revenge on the Binding of Isaac. I streamed it several times and it was a disaster. And I was like, I'm going to get revenge on it. I'm going to put all the items on one character. And even then, it just feels like a worse version of what it used to be. That's so annoying. I'm so mad. That was my Desert Island game. Like, if you could have any item you took on a desert island, what would it be? I was like, Binding of Isaac.
Pure comfort game. Anytime I didn't know what to play, like I said, thousands of hours. I played it just like over and over, millions fun broken runs, and then So
there was a point where the Binding of Isaac was in the top 10 most streamed games on Twitch. Like it was competing with like Fortnite and Minecraft and crap. And like they just shot themselves in the foot. And they told the developer, like, why did you make the game so anti-player? Like, you made it not fun for the player. You already have their money. It's not an online competitive game. People love to watch people play the Binding of Isaac and just talk like we're doing right now. It's like watching a podcast with a game going on in the background. And they just ruined it. Because the people that used to talk and have really funny things, like Northern Line would talk about like these anecdotes. I went to the grocery store and this woman like threw up on the peaches, like all this crazy stuff, because you could just enjoy the game. Now it's so nitpicky and fiddly that you have to focus squarely on the game. There's no opportunity to talk about that. They did things, all right, so they made the characters 20% slower, and then they made the bullet shots from the enemies 50% faster, just across the board. Why?
Oh, it's way harder.
Why do that?
So I feel like Afterbirth, there were a million like game breaks in it. You could break the shop, you could break this, you could do that, you could do that. And there were a lot of ways that if you were a smart player, you could overpower the game. And I feel like the developer like didn't like that. He was like, "Oh, my game's too easy. People can break my game too easy." And I feel like he took it just way too far trying to make it harder. Like it was like he had a chip on his shoulder or something. He's like, "Oh, I'll show you." Like, and one of the beauties of the game is the end game for that game is Eden runs. Basically, that's the end game. Is there's this character called Eden, in case you guys aren't familiar, and what it is every time you start a new round, Eden spawns with 2 random items and has random stats. So you might have 2 good items, 2 crappy items, 3 health, 1 health. It's random each time, and you're supposed to like try to do runs and win as many times in a row as you can. And like, back in the day, there were people that were, I was on, you do like 100 runs in a row, 150 I've gotten up to. could do that no problem. And now it's like, dude, I personally can't do that. And it's made it like they've ruined so many things about it too. So like another thing I hate to harp on too is like before, like it had a very established path of like what it means to like beat a run. And now the way it's set up, like you could go 7 different directions and beat the run. And I'm just like, I don't like it. It's just not as clean. It's like, is it the same run if you kill Hush and you do this and you do that and you don't kill the last boss? It's weird.
I talked about that in my video that came out this morning, right? The hardest boss is I talked about beating Mother, and it's like, you have to go in a secret area that you can only access if you have like the correct consumables. And in that area, you have to find a secret hidden fire to kill yourself temporarily, and then find a secret hidden mirror to take yourself into a hidden area inside the hidden area, in which you go to the shop to get 1/2 of the knife, which is the key you need. Then you fight your way out of that. Then you go to it's just that over and over and over and over and over and over and over. There's all these like loops you have to jump through. And the game, it's not just about beating it. What the game wants you to do is 100% complete it.
Yeah.
Find every item, beat every mode of everything you can do with every single character. They doubled the amount of characters, and they made all the characters really weird and wonky. It's like this character doesn't shoot. She doesn't shoot. Instead, she has a little familiar over here on the side that shoots for her. And it's like, okay, so I can't line up my shot because the familiar is like moving around. Or the alternate version of this character doesn't shoot at all. Instead, she shoots like a placenta out of her stomach in front of her, and then that shoots. And you're like, how do you aim your shots? It just gets so weird. But the thing that really hurts it more than anything is they doubled the amount of items. But of the items they added, about half of them don't do a damn thing. They just don't do anything. It's like it lets you see where hidden rooms are. There's like a freaking
5 different things that do that.
I know there's like something. So the item pool of the good items is like diluted now, right? So anyway, they ruined my favorite game, dude. They ruined it.
I completely agree. And like and for me, like one of the biggest things too was like I felt like it was so. I don't like games that like to me are actually disrespectful of my time. They are actually designed to be like, oh, you want to do Eden runs? Well, that's going to take you at least 1,000 hours.
Yeah, I know.
You can unlock everything until you can have fun and enjoy the game. Like, holy shit.
It wastes your time. It was the Binding of Isaac was early in the roguelite kind of renaissance, and it nailed a lot of things right. But later on, when Hades came out, Hades is objectively a better game than the Binding of Isaac. Now, it's not my favorite game over the Binding of Isaac, or at least it wasn't at that time. But Hades has an important component to it that is missing from the Binding of Isaac, and that is, and these are roguelites, so you're going to fail a lot of runs and have to start over from the beginning. Hades, every single run, you earn something. You get some sort of experience towards an item. You unlock some new ability. You get an upgrade for your hub world base. There's always something. No run is wasted. When Repentance came out for the Binding of Isaac, 75% of your runs, you don't get a damn thing.
You just
Nothing.
lose. You just
You
lose an hour
You
of your
just
life.
sit down and play for like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yep.
You're trying to eke out a victory. You get to the boss. Hush is down, or delirium is at like 5%, and you get telefragged and you die. And it's like, well, I got nothing for it. Just like that was the only hour I had to play for the next 2 days, and
You
it's
get
wasted.
rage. Let me
That's
put it this way.
bullcrap.
My
That's such bullcrap, man. Why
my
do that to us?
my girlfriend literally was like, "Honey, I think you should take a break from Isaac." You know what I mean? 'Cause she could just tell. I'd just be sitting over there like,
I am so mad at it. I
"You having
just
fun?" I'm like,
recently
"Yes."
I finished Mother and Dad, so the 2 alternate paths on all the characters.
Nice.
So now all I have to do is go through and beat like the old content. But then even after that, I still have a few challenges I have to do, and I have to unlock every freaking item in the game. And some of them are like, get a certain NPC to pay out 10 times with a freaking thing. Like I've 5,000 times I've used it. I've never gotten them to pay out once. So in like 2,000 hours of gameplay, I haven't gotten them to pay out once, and I have to have them do it 10 times to unlock one of the freaking items in the game. God, that crap's so irritating. It's so irritating. It's so anti-player, and I hate that.
But yeah, it's I don't know where World of Warcraft did the same thing when they introduced achievements. Like they just like there's certain games they just started putting things in games where they're like abusing their own players. They're like, hey, we're gonna put this thing in there that the only way you can do this is it takes 3,000 hours. Like there's no like that's just how it is. If you want to do this, it's 3,000 hours. And like when you do that, like that is a messed up thing to do to somebody. Like if you really think about it, what you're doing, like
It really is.
you're taking someone and you're actually wasting their life.
You are. And it's designed for these like
not in a
streamers
healthy
that play
way.
an hour every day. Like, you know, Simvicta puts up a Binding of Isaac video every day for like 8 years.
Lars Fest is the guy I was trying to think of, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Cobalt Street.
Cobalt Street's awesome. Lars Fest, if he still streams, I don't know if he does. I think he occasionally does. He's a really cool dude. He's just a chill dude. He's like one of those people like I love Isaac, but I would watch him play fucking Parcheesi, dude. He's just like one of those people, like wicked cool dude. So highly recommend his
We got some things in the chat. We have that the podcast is so much better without Figsy, but don't tell him I said that.
I wasn't gonna highlight that, but that's his best friend Andy, by the way. So he's allowed to
say that. All right. We will tell him. We have greetings from Amsterdam. Always a late stream. It's late for me. It's like 11 o'clock. That's okay. You completed the Quarry. That's in my backlog to play. I have not played it, but I love supermassive games. And I loved Until Dawn. I talked about it in a video I recorded today. I want to get into the Quarry. And Curse of the Dead Gods just came in from Limited Run Games. I ordered that, and it came in, I think, the day before yesterday. So it's going to be in the backlog, too. I might get to it in the next 15 years. I might not. We'll see.
Yep. You're in the same boat as I am. But I got to say, like, again, you're tasting games, and it's just straight up, like, all the same stuff that I'm into, man. So I just got Curse of the Dead Gods a couple days ago too. So like, yeah, it's pretty on point. I'm pretty excited about the Until Dawn remake coming up for the PS5. Actually,
I guess I knew they were doing that. I guess I saw it somewhere and forgot all about it. But I'm gonna play the crap out of that. I loved it. They're
gonna do a graphic enhancements, and they did say they're going to add some sort of gameplay to it. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, I love that game. I also really love Rush of Blood on PSVR 1. I don't know if you've played it.
That's my second favorite VR game of all time. I loved Rush of Blood. I had a great time with that. Freaking roller coaster, akimbo shooting. Like, what's not to love? I did not find it to be scary. I found it to be kind of like almost like a haunted house at a fair or something. What they were going for. I loved it. The only VR game I've ever played that's better than that is just Astrobot VR or whatever it is. Rescue Mission.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Astrobot. I really like how's wrong with me? The mouse game. What the hell's wrong with me?
Oh, Moss.
Moss. Yeah. So I'm like, it's not Mouse.
Yeah, I liked Moss too. It was It was fun. It felt like you were like looking into a diorama, and it was kind of a puzzle game. I did enjoy Moss. I played a whole bunch of freaking VR games
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago. I haven't touched one since I've been in my new house, I don't think. But for a
I can
while
go to
there, they were in their own like category in my backlog. So like
Mhm.
every fifth game, I was playing a VR game, and I went through a whole bunch of weird freaking crap that was bizarre. I played Doom VR, and I've never gotten motion sickness in my life, and it gave me like
the moving.
rockin' motion sickness, like really bad motion sickness, and
The controls in that game suck.
it was so bad. Well, it was doing the one where like you teleport around, and it's like you can
Correct.
turn this off and just run like a normal
Mhm.
friggin' first person shooter. Don't do that. Don't
Yeah.
no. I was like running and I ran through a door and it opened and the game like went framey and my brain thought my body was moving forward and
Oh,
my
dude,
eyes
yeah.
were desynced and it literally almost caused me to have a seizure. Like no joke. I was like, don't ever do that. There's a
Yep.
reason they have like this snap movement. Your brain cannot handle it.
I was on my PSVR 2, I was having some issues with my with the tracking when I was playing Beat Saber, and it would like do that same thing where like all of a sudden it would like lose tracking and like demorph, and
Mhm.
everything would go weird and go in all, and it messes with you hardcore. Like your brain, it goes, what is happening? Like it can't process what's happening, and you like you said, it's like vertigo, like I had to like throw the helmet off because I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is gonna make me sick. What the heck? It really screws with you when that all
Yeah,
gets
it
all
really
synced.
does. I'm a
Yeah,
neuroscientist. I know about the mechanics of it. It does not like it. Let me trust me when I say this.
and that's a pretty
Do
fascinating.
not take off the snap movement on VR. Do not do it. It's like rewiring your brain. It's like when you put on glasses and your
Mhm.
brain learns to adjust to them when you take them off. Using VR is doing the same thing to your brain. So when you do something bizarre like that, it's like getting LASIK on your eyes when you don't need it. All of a sudden, your brain doesn't know how to handle it.
So I don't want to go too off topic about neuroscience and stuff, but yeah, you can trick your mind into doing all sorts of stuff. Like I love like those like 3D illusions that make you trick your mind, or like
Yeah.
you ever seen the rubber hand experiment? I'm sure you
Yeah,
have.
you know, where
Where
like
like
the
they
guy puts his
hide
2
your
hands
hands.
out, and then there's one's
Yeah,
rubber, and they like rub his hand on the other side thing, and
yeah,
they hit the other hand with a hammer. Yeah.
yeah, and it like literally like you can show it. Like what they do is like they take the real hand and the fake hand and they're touching them at the same
Mhm.
time. And the guy can like swears he can feel it, and then like they stop touching the real hand and they only touch the rubber hand, and the guy's like, I can still feel that. I'm like, that's so
Yeah.
crazy. Like you literally
It's
can
so
trick
bad.
your mind into like experiencing something, you know. I know that it's yeah, it's pretty wild stuff, man. That's pretty cool. So let me get it straight. You're a neuroscientist, you're a crazy guitarist, you're amazing guitar. What I mean, what else, man? You anything else you should know about? Are you like an assassin or anything? Or anything else?
No, I do a little bit of woodworking, a little bit of carpentry, and
Yeah, oh,
I
yeah.
like to read
You
novels, and
like to whittle?
I like to whittle. I'm not a great carver, but,
What
uh
kind of books you like? What kind of novels? I like books too.
my favorite
There's
novel
books
is
behind all my movies over
probably
here.
I like, Dostoevsky. I read Crime and Punishment several
Oh,
times, and,
okay.
I used to read a lot more than I do now. I have to read so much at work that I'm kinda, like, burned out on it at home, and if I try to, like, lie in bed and read, I will flip and
Pass up.
pass out. I'll make it, like, 3 minutes. I'll wake up with a book, like, lying on my chest, but when I was younger, people are like, "Well, how do you know so much? Why are you so good at so much stuff? Why do you do so much stuff?" The truth is, my dad was older when I was born, and it was just me and him, and he was really sick, so I had to, like, take care of him when I was younger, and I couldn't really leave the house too much. Like, I'd go out and play with my friends for a little bit, but I had to be pretty close at home, so I just sat inside, like, playing guitar and reading and playing video games, and I
Mhm.
just read a whole freaking bunch of crap. I read, like, a couple of encyclopedias. I read these, like, practical guides on how, like, clocks work and gears and
Mm.
how engines are fabricated and how to navigate by the stars and all that stuff, and I just had a knack for remembering that stuff. So I guess my internal knowledge is a little bit higher than, maybe some other people from a similar background to mine, but, uh, yeah, I've always enjoyed learning a lot and learning to do things. So I'm a jack of all trades and a master of few, so
Dude, that's exactly how I feel. Like I like to dabble in everything, but I'm not like I'm not a master. Like I'm a great bassist, but I'm not Les Claypool, and I'm a decent guitarist, but I'm not Ingve.
Yeah.
And you know, like I can sing, but I'm not, you know, the guy from Dream Theater or whatever. You know, I can do some stuff, but I like to dabble, but I'm like also just very like self-interested, and I like learning. Like I enjoy learning new things, and I think there's a lot of people that they are the opposite. They're like, nope, brain off. Thank you. Me
Yeah,
watch
I
watch
get it.
sports and me drinky beer.
Yeah. I like watching sports and drinking beer a lot too. But
Yeah.
there's certain people that have like a desire to learn, and
Mhm.
it's like nourishing for them. And I joke about this a lot. So I feel like I coined this term, but there might be I might have stolen it from somewhere 20 years ago. But I remember I was going on a lot of dates, and I would take these people out to these restaurants, and like like a nice restaurant. Like I worked all week to pay for this dinner, and the girl would order like a chicken Caesar salad, like hold the dressing or dressing on the side, or she would just order chicken fingers or whatever. So I started calling it chicken finger mouth.
Mm,
The inability to appreciate sophisticated food. All you eat are like chicken fingers.
mhm,
And so many people have that, and they don't have a strong diet of different foods. Well, you can get into that. You can get chicken finger mouth with anything in life. If you don't
mhm,
have a strong diet of music and all you listen to is like Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, and then you hear Dream Theater and John Petrucci's over there like shredding on the guitar and there's a keyboard solo, it's going to be weird to you. It's going to be like not food because you don't have a
mhm,
diet of good music. It's the same thing with knowledge. Some people have like they've not acquired the taste for sophisticated thought. They want to have a diet of intelligence that consists of chicken fingers, right? They want to think simple things. They talk about what their friends are doing and so got these new clothes and things like that. And that is mentally stimulating to them, just like eating chicken fingers is nourishing to your body. It fills you up,
mhm.
but it's not the same kind of nourishment you need if you're used to that other kind of thought process or that other sort of diet. And so I've
God,
always had like kind of a
mhm.
sophisticated palate of learning. And I know not everybody's that way. And I wish I could say, like, I'm going to make you be really interested in Russian literature. And we're going to learn
Hey,
about,
the double is great.
amphibians. Like, we're going to learn all this stuff. People just, they don't care. They don't, because why? That's
Mhm.
like, do you want to eat lutefisk? Do you want to eat salmon roe on a blueberry muffin? I'm kinda like, "Let's try it," but most people don't wanna do it. They don't wanna try it. Like, that's
Mhm.
repulsive to them, just like learning about how a gear shift works in a manual transmission.
So what a fascinating analogy because I've described it too. It's like I like how you say it's like a taste, like a diet, because I've tried to describe like when people like when I because I'm really into really heavy music, and I'm like I didn't start off loving brutal, crazy death metal like at all. Like I remember the first time I heard Carcass was the first time I'd heard someone screaming. And
Yeah.
I was like, why is there a demon in this band screaming? That's scary. I was literally like, this is scary. I'm like, that sounds like a monster. I was like, what the heck? Like my palate didn't like I was like, ugh, spit it
Yeah.
out. You know what I mean? Because I just was like, what is this? But then after a while, like I'm like, okay, I like the taste of this.
Yeah,
I
you
like
acquire a
it.
taste for it.
I enjoy it. And now the way I explain it is like really good death metal. That's like top shelf whiskey, and like regular music is like Bud Light.
Yeah.
And like I can drink Bud Light all day, but it's not going to give me the taste that what I need, that high end whiskey
Right.
taste. Like I want to listen to, you know, like you said, Between the Buried and Me, Diabolical Masquerade, Opeth, some crazy technical high level, you know, I look and I'm like, how long is this song? 11 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, but you need to develop that. And after a while, that's all you crave. It's like you become someone who's like, no, I want the next crazy thing. You know, I don't know.
You
You
do,
have an
you
appetite
do.
for it.
I was like that. Like, I pushed the boundaries of, like, how complicated can this music get? You go so far down, like, the wormhole of, like, heavy metal that you're listening to bands that, like, put out their albums as, like, a freaking
The
PowerPoint
challenge.
file. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even,
Mhm.
like, in a format that exists. And it, eventually, you come back around where you start liking simple music. You can appreciate it again. A good
Mhm.
example of this would be, um, let's say you like hamburgers, right? Your whole life you've eaten hamburgers, and you're like,
Mhm.
"Well, I'm gonna try having Heinz 57 on this instead of barbecue sauce." And then you add a little bit more. Let's add pineapple. Let's start adding, let's have a bison burger. It gets crazier and crazier. You get into this cuisine where you're having this really exotic stuff. We're putting squid ink in the
Mhm.
buns, and instead of sesame seeds, it's puffed quinoa and all this sort of stuff. But there's only so far you can go, right?
Mhm.
Eventually, you get to the point where it becomes, like, too much. You start craving simplicity. I feel like sushi is like that. The
Mhm.
complexity of sushi is in the execution of its simplicity, and sometimes just listening to, like, an Iron Maiden song can be like a good old cheeseburger.
Mhm.
Sometimes listening to an Ed Sheeran song, for me, even though I don't really like Ed Sheeran, it's
Mhm.
like eating sushi. It's not the flavors I want, but I appreciate the production of it. I
Sure.
appreciate the timbre of his voice. I appreciate the tasteful way in which the producer auto-tuned his voice and made it
Mhm.
try to sound more natural rather than, uh, unnatural. And so I think that as you get older, you start gaining an appreciation for the complex and the simple. And right now I'm into Baroness, which is, I mean, they're like a sludge metal band out of Savannah. It's
Mhm.
like Appalachian folk music mixed with like Mastodon, and they've gotten
Down.
more and more like rock pop over time. And I'm like, it's like the good old days mixed with
Mhm.
that sophistication I like. And even now, I've kind of heralded myself as a foodie for many years.
Mhm.
But right now, I'm like, dude, I'm just into fried chicken.
That's
Like,
all I
I
want
just
right
want
now.
the best fried chicken.
Mhm.
I'm like, I wanna know the best '80s thrash metal band that isn't Metallica. Who is it? Is it Slayer? Is it Megadeth? Is it Testament? Are they really thrash? Who knows? You start exploring the parts of your body that are
Mhm.
already and the regions of your mind that are already there, and it's interpreting those and then understanding those better rather than always looking for something new. Although I do listen for a lot of new stuff, but it can be fun going back to revisit that and trying to kind of calculate how you view yourself.
I, so I love it's weird, like, I love really technical music, and I love that sophisticated stuff too, but I also have, like, a huge passion for, like, really simplistic punk and stuff like that, and, like, old hardcore. Like, I like Bane a lot. I don't know if you like Bane or anything
Yeah.
like that. They're just very simple, not that great. You know, the vocals are questionable, but like I don't know, there's just something about that simplistic, like mosh music that brings me back, like back in the day, like old Poison the Well or that simplest stuff. Like I do crave like that pure, simple,
Well,
easier
I
stuff.
like Poison the Well. They're more complicated than a lot of hardcore, but the one I always go back to that if you're a hardcore fan is Converge.
They're the best. They're insane, bro.
Converge, they put out Axe to Fall, and I was listening to the song, I guess was it Dark Horse? I guess it was Dark Horse.
Mm,
Real up tempo, very crazy. And it goes to this like halftime feel in the middle where he's like droning. I think he's playing like maybe an A flat on the guitar. He's just droning it, but it's kind of high. He's bending it slightly out of tune. And in like any other metal song, this is where the other guitars would start harmonizing with him. But
mhm,
he actually just doesn't harmonize. Like, he intentionally leaves out an important integral part of that song, and what's missing ends up being what the focus of the song is. Like, that's the part that stood out most to me of that entire thing, was how, like, I was expecting something, and he gave
mm,
me something totally different, and he
mhm.
performed it in a way I wasn't expecting. So that to me can speak very loudly. And so I think there's a lot to say for like old school punk and old school hardcore, and even new school punk and hardcore. There's always something to be gleaned from any sort of art that you consume in your life. And I have to say, hello, Radio to Rancid. Thank you for coming to hang out. I appreciate it. Kiana Mate says, Sounds of Perseverance by Death is legendary.
Oh yeah, Death.
I agree. That's a great, but I think that
Chris Christie, or not Chris? What's a drummer's name?
Not Symbolism. What is it?
Symbiotism?
What's the album that has like Crystal Mountain on it and
Leprosy.
What was it?
Is it Leprosy?
No, Leprosy's their first album. That was like an '88. This is
I don't know Death that well.
Oh man, hold on. What's the album?
Richard Christie, thank you. Chris Christie, I said. That's not it.
Death albums. Symbolisms. What is it? Freaking crap. What the hell? Symbolic. That's it. Symbolic is my favorite one that they did. It was the one that they did right before The Sounds of Perseverance.
Well, I just got a shout out to the greatest musician of all time. It's actually
David he is, man. David Hasselhoff.
So as much as I say I'm a man who has sophisticated tastes, maybe I don't. I also have a passionate love for cheesy stuff. Like, no joke, I think I unironically like Michael Bolton songs.
Dude, I listened to some Michael Bolton not that long ago.
The man can sing. Was like, boy can sing.
It's so good. It's so good. So I've started hearing songs recently that like I've heard a million times. Like growing up, I was like, I don't ever freaking want to hear this song ever again. And then it like pops up on the radio, and I'm like, I start actually listening to it, and I'm like, this is a bop. Like this slaps pretty freaking hard. The other one that I like heard the other day, I've never liked this song. I've always hated it. Was Rick Springfield's Jesse's Girl.
Come on, man. Jesse.
Now, the chorus is what I think in my head, and I'm like, that's fine. But, dude, I started listening to the verse at the beginning of it. Jesse's got himself a girl, and I want to make her mine. That's fine. But he's like, I'm watching her with my eyes. Like, I was like, I believe Rick Springfield when he's singing this. Like, this happened to him. Like, this is a true story, and I feel it now that I'm 41 years old. I was like, I've been through this, man. This hurts. Tell me more about it. And it's funny how you get older, that sort of thing starts happening. So I
didn't know what 90% of the music I listened to, man, when I was a kid.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, dude. It was there's so many of those. Like the big one that hits hard now when you listen to it is you start getting older and more nostalgic about days gone. Freaking listen to some Bob Seger and you're like, oh God, dude, I can't I can't even live with myself. I was like, he's just telling the story of all the crap that happened to me when I was 18 and the terrible mistakes I've made. That saying like, I wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then. I was like, you can't say that, dude. It wounds too much.
Yeah, sometimes that stuff can hit really hard, really home. So let's talk about your channel a little bit, just in case there's some people here. How long have you been doing YouTube for? I mean, it's relatively new, right?
Like a year and a half or so.
Wow, man. And you're closing in on 10K subs, right? You're like real close, right?
Yeah, I'm about 300 away. 200 maybe.
That? Well, if anybody's listening right now, please go over and sub to RNGGamer right now and get this man to 10K. He deserves it. And he's going to make it. And I'm looking forward to hearing when you're on the 50K front, because you're doing fantastic. So.
I hope so, man. I'm hoping so. I hope I can get there.
So I'll say before, like, he does quality content, looks great editing. Your information's fantastic. Your attitude's fantastic. And like I said, like, I don't know. I watch a lot of people in the gaming scene, and I know a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of collections. And like I said, you have good taste, and it's like really solid stuff, guys. So you'll enjoy his content if you're into collecting for sure, because it spans everything. I'm so jealous of the amount of space you have for that beautiful collection too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's a good sized room. This wall behind me is probably 14 or 16 feet away, and then it goes about 40 feet that way.
That's insane, dude. There's a couple things you had that obviously caught my attention. So I love that you have the actual original Flash version of Isaac, like in your
Oh, yeah.
collection. That's awesome. I thought that was really fascinating too. You had like these games, like there was like a company that you said that was like doing like monthly indie games, and they were sending when they went out of business or
Oh, yeah,
something like that.
Indie Box. They were out before limited run games. This is like we're talking 2010,
Mm,
2011, 2012, and they were doing physical releases of PC games. They're right let me see here. Let me get the camera. We can do this right there.
mhm.
There's a bunch of
Yep.
them right here, and they would put out, like, physical versions of their games, and they would make, like, custom USB flash cards for the physical release, put a lot of feelies in there, but it was like a monthly subscription like you would do, with, like, HelloFresh or something like that. They would
Yeah.
just send you a game every month, and you paid for it whether you wanted the game or not, which I think was kind of maybe a bad business play for them. But I guess they were just afraid of people not buying the games. But they put out a bunch of crap, like, they put out a physical version of Hollow Knight, like,
Yeah.
7 years before anybody else did. It was where the Stanley Parable came out originally. Like,
Yep.
the Stanley Parable released with them physically before it was released on Steam. So,
That's so cool.
it was really cool, and I really liked that service a lot, but they did this ploy with, uh, GameStop where they were gonna try to sell it wasn't their full collector's edition boxes. It
Mhm,
was like just basically like a DVD case maybe or a steel box,
mhm.
of their releases at GameStop, and, like, nobody bought them. I remember going into my GameStop, and they had, like, all their games for $5 a piece physically, and they sit there for months and months and months and months. I wish I had bought them, but I
Mm.
already had all the games, and I subscribed to them for a few years, 2.5 years or something like that,
Definitely
and,
sounds like they were just a little ahead of their time,
they were
for
just a
sure.
little ahead of their time, and I miss that a lot. I really do miss that service. I wish it had come back. I remember when they were shutting down, they did like a clearance and you could go on there and buy whatever you wanted. They just opened it up and they had Torchfall 2. Is it Torchfall with the Diablo clone or whatever?
Torchlight.
Torchlight
Yeah.
2. They were like the first ones to put that out, and I was like, "I wanna get that," and I ordered a copy of it, and they sent me an entire case, like 32 copies of it. And I messaged them and was like, "Do you want it back?" And they're like, "Don't even worry about it. We shut down the warehouse. Just enjoy. Thank you for being a good member."
Wow.
And, I was like, "Okay." I just gave them out to all my friends and stuff.
Eh.
But I really liked that service. I miss it a lot. I like physical PC stuff. I know it's hard to get it running, but I like having it
Mhm.
on the shelf because I had so much of it when I was younger, and
Mm.
I just love the way it looks. So I miss that.
Yeah, I was blown away because, like I said, I couldn't believe like the Hollow Knight was in there, Stanley Parable, and another game that blew me away was Nuclear Throne was in there,
Yep.
and I have been oh man, that got announced by Limited Run like freaking years ago. That was on there like upcoming games. We're gonna do Nuclear Throne, and
It
it
never
just
came out.
never came out. And I remember years I was checking on it, checking on it, checking on it, checking on it. It never came out. So I was pretty I was like shocked when I saw that you had a physical copy of that
That's the
game. I
only
was
one.
like, oh man, I didn't even know that existed. I
That's
should
it.
get
Yep.
that. That is so cool, man. I feel like we don't get a lot of love for old PC on this, but I do like old PC gaming quite a bit.
Yeah.
One of your videos that I saw, you were talking about. I saw that you bought the big boxes for Warcraft 2,
Yeah.
and
That was
didn't go
recently.
so great. It looked like there was some
Yeah.
problems with it.
I got, ripped off.
Yeah,
You
pretty
said it
much.
goes so great. I, so I've just wanted, like, Warcraft 2 in the green box, or the blue box and its expansion in the green box because I had 'em when I was a kid, and I threw the big boxes out like an idiot.
Same.
And there's also this
I had
BattleNet
the
edition,
battle
like in a
chest and everything.
foil cover, and that foil net edition, I see it that foil BattleNet edition, I see listed for, like, $200. "Hello, Cyrus. It's nice to have you here." Um all the time. So I was like, there's this post and it's all 3 of them for like $200 or right at it.
Mm.
And I was like, I'll be getting the BattleNet edition and the other 2 will be free. So I ordered it, comes in. The freaking dude had cut the UPC out of the bottom of the BattleNet edition, so it had
And
a
it
giant
just
hole in it.
so happened he forgot to take a picture of that
It
side
just
of the
so
book.
happened he forgot to take a picture of that, and
Mm.
the inside box, like the cardboard that keeps the whole unit rigid,
Mhm.
missing. Just gone on all of them.
Why would you
And
throw that
the
away?
truth
Why
is,
would
I
you
didn't
keep
even
the box
I
and
didn't
not the inside?
well, I didn't actually even open up the box he shipped it to me in for, like, 2
Mm.
weeks. I set it inside my door. So I was like, "I'm gonna do a pickups video, and it might be kinda
Yeah.
cool to unbox it on camera." And then I was like, that's dumb. I don't wanna do an unboxing. That's not my brand. So I, like, opened it up and looked in. I was like, "They look good." Like, I shut it, stacked a bunch of crap on it,
Mhm.
and then when I was, like, going to film the video, I picked it up and I was like, "Why does this box only weigh, like, 9 ounces?" Like, what is wrong with it? And I pulled it out, and by then, it was too late to fight with eBay. I didn't open the report or anything. So
Mhm.
it turns out that BattleNet edition, while it is listed often at like $200, it really sells for about 40 or 50 complete. So I
Yeah.
paid about 180 or 90 for something that should have been really like, I don't know, 120 or so. I I find deals occasionally, but I'm fine paying retail usually, but I don't like getting ripped off.
Uh,
That was the first time
see,
I got ripped off in a long time.
that's a lot of the times, on eBay or whatever you're buying, if you see something that the deal just seems too good to be true, it is. Because I mean, I've had a similar thing happen, like just not paying close enough attention. Like there was the classic anniversary controllers. You've seen these before, the PS4 ones that are
No, dude, I've never seen one in my
okay.
entire life.
Do you notice anything weird about mine?
It's fake.
Yeah. Look at the
The
fucking back.
bottom black. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So like I bought this. It was like, wicked cheap, and I was just hastily, I'm like, oh, it's a great deal for that. Man, I'll buy that, blah, blah, blah. I get it in. Freaking look, I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. I was so mad. But like I said, I got it for like $20 or something.
Okay.
And so I called the dude and I complained, and he gave me like $10 off. So I got this for $10.
That's
So I'm
not too
like,
bad.
you know what? This will be my player 2 one. So I actually
Yeah.
have a nicer one somewhere, like a real one. And then this was my spare or whatever. But yeah, people just, and of course there were no pictures of the back of the controller. It was just the front. And I
Of
was just too
course, yeah.
stupid to notice that these things were black because I'm dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought the 20th anniversary controller or whatever it was when it was brand new, and it's been my, like, main PS4 controller ever
love it.
since. And people are like, "You use it?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I freaking use it.
I
Of
do.
course I use it.
I do.
I
I
play
open
my
almost
stuff." I'm more of a gamer than I am a collector, so I
I
have no
am too.
problem doing that.
I am too. And I can kind of tell in a way just from your collection because you're not a full set person for the most part. You got a Vectrex set and stuff like that, but I can, and you might be going for one throughout time, but like you seem to focus on the games you want from each system more than completing sets for each
Yeah,
system.
I
from
don't
what
I
can
don't
tell.
really have any aspirations of finishing a set unless it's like an event of opportunity, right? I just wanna get the games I wanna play. But occasionally I'll do something like with the Vectrex, I really liked the Vectrex,
Mhm.
and I was looking for a couple of games I couldn't find, and I found like a killer deal on eBay where I bought a big lot and it had a bunch of games in it. And I looked and I was like, I'm only 3 away from finishing the set. I looked in what those games were and I was like, I'd like to play those. So I went ahead and finished it off. The same
Mhm.
thing happened with the Virtual Boy set. Like a
Mhm.
buddy of mine was trying to sell off his complete in box Water World, and I was like, I'll help him out. And I picked it up, and then I was like,
Well, now you really only need Jack Bros.
yeah, I was like, now I only need Jack Bros and a couple of other ones. So I knew a guy that had a copy of Jack Bros, and I picked it up off of him, and I was like, I'll finish it off. But I don't really have any aspirations of finishing off any other sets. Like I'm kind of close on the Atari Jaguar, but I don't even have a list of like what I'm missing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just buy the games I want to play or that look
What's the
interesting.
Neo Geo? You almost done that one?
I have a lot of Neo Geo stuff, but
I
I'm
know.
not close to being complete.
Nobody completes that set anymore.
I
Unless
know a guy that has a complete sealed Neo Geo AES set.
sealed?
Sealed.
Oh my god. Like he's got Metal Slug sealed. Like, oh my lord.
Yeah, he has Metal Slug X sealed. He has all the stuff. He has Samurai Showdown Special, the last game to come out, sealed with the certificate that they sent from Neo Geo thanking him for his support.
That's pretty
He
rad,
also
man.
has a complete sealed NES case set. So they shipped NES games in the boxes of 6, right? He has a complete
Yeah.
set of everything in the original boxes, and the
So
games
6
inside are all
copies.
sealed. He has 6 copies of sealed of Stadium Events.
Get the Can
Yeah.
he come on the show? I was kidding.
He's a famous YouTuber. I don't know
I'm
if I could
sure
get
he
him on
is.
the show.
It's all
He's
good.
incognito at the moment, but
It's all good, dude.
you could if you type in Game Room Tour on YouTube, you will find his content up at the top.
Yeah, I can believe it. I'm assuming he's supposed to be pretty well known.
But yeah, he's like legendary. He's like the kind of guy that will buy out an entire arcade in another country because he needs like the steering wheel from a rare arcade machine, and then he'll ship it halfway across the world to get the steering wheel. Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of money. I don't have that kind of money.
No.
And even
No.
if I did, I wouldn't be doing stuff like that. I just want to play. And I
I
just want to share what I'm playing with everybody else. That's all I want to do.
So if I had a lot, like, no money, I would pretty much have the same collection I have, but maybe, like, with another dozen really expensive games, and then I would have another room full of guitars. That's what we have. I really would have.
You know,
I
you
would
say
have
that.
I would have another room full of gear.
I have
100.
I had a room full of guitars and amps, and I had like amps in storage, and like, and we had the new baby, and my guitar room became my wife's office because her old office turned into the nursery. But I'm clearing out a bunch of like guitar gear. Like I've sold several amps, and I'm selling my old cabs right now. I have
Yeah,
about
these are cabs
6
I need to
Bass
get
and
rid
Boogie
of.
cabs that
Dear
I'm getting
Lord.
rid of, and I actually made a chart of all the guitars that I still have. I have about like 15 of them sitting around here, and I'm just gonna have someone take the chart and blindfold me and hand me the guitar, and I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna say like what I like about the sound, what I don't like about the sound, what I like the feel, what I don't like about the feel, and then I'm gonna rank everything, and everything that falls below a certain threshold, I'm gonna sell it. I don't care if it's a 68 Les Paul.
Oh, you'd be surprised what you actually like. He might be like the cheapest guitar you own. You never
I've got
know.
one over here that I bought. Here, I'll show it to you real quick.
I feel like most people who have really expensive guitars, like they'll always have like their daily driver, like this little like cheaper one that they like, just something about it they just love. Like I used to have this old Washburn that I just loved it. I don't know what it was about it. I just love the fretboard. I love the feel. Just felt good. So I just preferred playing that. I don't know. What you got there? Oh, it looks beautiful.
This is just like a bog standard, like Gibson ES 335, like the one you can get off the shelf for like $4,000. And I thought I would hate it. But I ended up loving this guitar, man. I think it's like great, and it's real cool. It's got the quilted flame on it, but normally I'm like, I don't want an ES 335 unless it's like a vintage. Like if it's under $20,000, don't even bother, man.
Yeah, dude, this is what I mean about if I had all the money in the world, this is what would happen, because guitars are expensive, like, you know, nice ones, you know, like even cheap ones are like $2-3 grand if you really want a decent one. So
yeah, you can get cheap stuff now. When I was a kid, you couldn't get a decent guitar for under $1,000, $700, something like that. But I have kids that I teach now, and they come in with like a Squire, and I play it. And I'm like, it's not that bad. It's for like $200. I'll say this: the best guitar I ever played in my life that felt the best was a Texas Special Squire Telecaster, and I played it at a guitar store, and it was just sitting there. I was just noodling around on it. I was like, this guitar feels great. I love this guitar. Is it for sale? And they're like, it's not for sale. The guy brought that in for repair. We just repaired it. We were just demoing it. We love it. We can't stop playing it. I was like, well, he sell it? And they're like, he won't sell it. Like the guitar store owner offered him like $1,000 for like a $300 guitar. He wouldn't take it. And I was like, I'll give him $1,500 for it. And they're like, we'll give him a call. And he wouldn't take it. It was just like,
no,
just wouldn't take it. That was his guitar, man. But yeah, I have, dude, like I got a stack of them over there on the floor, just like Gibsons and Fenders and Ibanez's and Paul Reed Smiths just stacked up. I got to get rid of some of them.
Yeah,
I find there's more enjoyment in the simplicity and the limitations. So I think having some limitations would be good for me. I have too many guitars, man. It's frustrating when you sit down and you want to play and you're like, well, I got to change the strings on it. And you like change the strings on the guitar, and then you're like, all right, what amp am I going to use? It's like, oh, let's use the triple rectifier, and you like plug it in. You're like, oh god, the tubes need to be biased, and then like, all right, well, I'll try out the Hughes and Kettner, and then you spend 40 minutes of your 1 hour you have a practice time like tinkering with knobs. Which pedals am I going to use? I'm like, let's just. The happiest I ever was when I owned one guitar and one amp. Let's just try to get back towards that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to get down to too. Like I have, this is like a really nice vintage Trace Elliott bass cab. It's freaking amazing. I've had it since I was like 15, and I just like, I hate to get rid of it, but it's like, it's been sitting in the closet for like 5 years. I'm not doing nothing with it. I'm not doing any bands. It's just, and it's almost makes me sad because somebody out there could be making music with it and enjoying it and actually giving it some life. So
I know. Well, I mean, when your possessions start becoming a burden, then like it's time to let them go, right?
Agreed. Yeah. So what's anything big news coming up on the channel? Anything else we got to keep an eye on? Are you working on any new projects, any new videos we should keep an eye on for?
Yeah, my videos come out every single Saturday. Come hell or high water, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. We did one today that was the hardest video game bosses. Next week is going to be a harebrained nonsense video I'm doing. I got tagged by Samantha Azira, who has another great YouTube channel, to do games, 5 games under $10, which really isn't on brand with what I do, but I was like, that might be kind of fun. So I mixed that with like a game hunting video. So it's like, come watch me fail at trying to find deals on games. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you about games you can actually find for a good deal.
That sounds fun.
But the one I'm going to do after that, I'm excited about. I had done several videos where I like pulled an Xbox 360 game off the shelf, and I was like, this is an uncommon game. It's cheap now. You should definitely pick it up because it's going to be expensive one day. And wouldn't you know, I picked out 4 or 5 games that I said that would happen, and they're all over $100 now in the last 2 weeks. So I was like, it might be kind of cool to have like 6 months ago and me saying that, and then 3 months ago me saying this and showing the prices and being like, now here are the next 5 games that'll probably be expensive. I think that would be kind of a fun video. But I've got a few conventions coming up. I'm going to be at Game Jam South in Huntsville, Alabama in a couple weeks, and then about 2 months from now, I'm going to be at the Southeast Game Exchange in Greenville, South Carolina. I'll be a special guest at both of those.
That's super cool. And I think it's a great topic to focus on right now, the Xbox 360. It's definitely going to go wild in the next few years, probably next few months, to be honest with you. So yeah, if you guys are watching, if you guys are interested in that, you want to get some good information, you should check out his channel and subscribe. I'll leave links in the chat for everybody too. It's RNGGamer on YouTube,
It's
Twitter,
RNGGamer on YouTube, and everywhere
Instagram,
else.
all the socials. Cool, man.
Yep.
Well, yeah, just want to say it was great for having you on there. I think we're going to wrap it up. It's a little bit after the 2-hour mark now. So this is
awesome.
great, man.
Thank
Hope
you so much for having me. It was a blast. I'm glad we
Yeah.
did it, man. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. So usually what we do is like, we like to have everybody on here at least once by themselves, give everyone the spotlight they deserve. But then if you have friends you want to bring on, you want to do a panel or something, you have an idea for a show, you let me know. We can do it too, because I like doing that too. Like, you know, if you have like 5 people who want to come over and talk about Between the Buried and Me, we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do an episode about nothing but metal or something. No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be fun.
But, yeah, dude, that was a great show. I had a lot of fun, and I hope everybody enjoyed watching it. Hope you guys all have a great night.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, take it easy. Oh, hold on. Where is it? All right.
You found the coolest place to be, the PlayStation Collecting Center. Come on, won't you stay with me? Welcome to the show. Gather round the boys and girls, collectors from around the world. Let's show the people what they need to know. Welcome to the show. Gonna talk again, but we got the fans. Gonna put their knowledge to the test. Gonna laugh and eat, gonna live the dream, gonna show you this.